A good solid start to any racing season, and no doubt that's what the 01 Ganassi car did.
Absolutely, Lee. They had a great run there at Daytona. Won the race for the second year in a row. And for Scott Pruitt, he comes into this weekend not only with the championship lead, but also as the defending race winner here in Mexico City. But he has a brand new teammate, Memo Rojas Jr. Now, he ran at Daytona, but in the sister car, the 02 car. Imagine the pressure on this young driver. He comes here with very little sports car experience. He hasn't had a lot of seat time in the last 2 years. Add to that, he's in front of the hometown crowd. A lot of pressure on the boy here today. Earlier, we had a chance to catch up with these two new teammates.
Last year's race was a Cinderella story. The fact that Luis won the race, the fact that Carlos Slim, Telmex, all the Mexicans that were down here, all the nationals that were involved with it, and a huge party afterwards. It's nothing like I've ever seen, for sure. The car's same, the sponsor's the same, everything's the same except the driver, my teammate. Memo Rojas is new to the team this year.
I was born here in Mexico City. It's my hometown. And it's funny the fact that I haven't raced here because I was fortunate enough to start my career internationally. I think there's always pressure in racing, no matter which car you're driving, which series. I mean, obviously, since it's my hometown, there's a lot of expectations because of the sponsors and the people cheering for us this weekend.
This is the first time that Memo and I have had a chance to work together. His focus was on the 02 car Daytona, mine was on the 01 car.
Daytona the 24 of Daytona was like a master degree in racing. I mean, things that don't happen to you in a full season happen to me in one race. For sure, my mindset is changed because I'm used to open wheel racing, which are short races, and it's 100% all the time. And here, I mean, for sure, I learned that it's endurance racing, and you need to be more patient.
So coming into this race, we just got to keep doing what we're doing as a team. You know, the biggest question mark right now is how fast can we get Memo up to speed?
I've dreamt about winning in my home track. That would be really awesome because a lot of people coming to visit me to see this race, and it would be like a dream come true.
Rojas used a great analogy there. He said the Rolex 24 was like a master's degree in sports car racing. Well, these four teams were taught a pretty harsh lesson. Have a look at these seasoned campaigners, and they are all playing catch-up. The 99 Gainsco Bob Stalling racing car. Then you've got the Red Bull 58 Rumos Porsche Ruby Tuesday Championship Racing, and of course the 75 Krone Racing Pontiac Riley. But I tell you what, here in Mexico, young Colin Braun has done something about amending that situation, Chris Neville.
That's right, Lee. Last year, Colin and his teammate were the picture of consistency, but this year, a lackluster finish at Daytona has put him in a bit of a points deficit. But Colin Braun fights back strong here in Mexico City, grabs the pole, beats the track record. But Colin, a little bit of a points deficit you're starting the year out with. Any more pressure to get some wins in the first half of the season?
Well, first off, these Krone Racing guys did a great job at Daytona. I mean, with all the problems we had, to come out and finish 11th was great effort by all of them. Obviously, we're pretty quick here. The car's really good. I don't think there's any extra pressure, really. I mean, we're just going to go out there and do what we did last year, which is try to finish real consistent and just be smart about it.
Well, last year he was not able to share that championship because of his age, but this year he's a year older, and he's definitely a top contender.
Of course, he is one of the Daytona prototype stars, and while the DP class may steal the headlines, there's more to this series than meets the eye. Brian Till has more on the GT class that you may not have known.
Well, Lee, in the Rolex Sports Car Series, we talk a lot about a race within a race. And what we're usually talking about is the battle with Daytona prototypes for the overall and class victory, but also the battle for the class victory in the GT field as well. But week in and week out, there's also a race within a race of technology in the GT class. The GT rules allow several formulas to equalize the cars, including weight, tire size, engine RPM limits, and preparation methods. With almost 30 different car makes eligible for racing in the GT class, equalizing them is without a doubt a complicated job. The biggest differences are in the methods of preparation, the physical makeup of the car itself. There are actually two distinct preparation methods for the GT class. Prep 1, which include unibody GT cars, and Prep 2, which are semi-tube frame GT cars. Prep 1 is reserved for production cars with little or no modifications, like the Porsche GT3 Cup car that we see on a regular basis. Prep 2 can be modified production cars or tube frame chassis, such as the Pontiac GXP, the Mazda RX-8, the Chevy Corvette, and the Nissan 350Z. In Prep 2, you could take a front-wheel drive car and convert it to rear-wheel drive. And as mentioned earlier, specified tube frame construction is allowed. You could even use a different type of engine from the original manufacturer if they're approved by the series. Now, as different as those preparation methods may be, the Grand Am officials have done a superb job of keeping the manufacturers and competitors on an even playing field. And if you wonder how equal, just look at the last 2 seasons when the battle in the GT Championship has come down to the final laps of the final race of the season between a Prep 1 Porsche and a Prep 2 Pontiac GT-OR. But there's new muscle on the block, and it belongs right here in the hands of Sylvain Tremblay, owner and driver for Speed Source, that Mazda RX-8. You debuted it last year. It had some good finishes, a top 5 at Daytona this year, but now the pole. Sylvain, when you look at this program and you look back to where it all started, is it where you thought it would be, or are you ahead of the curve a little bit?
Well, I mean, anytime you put this much effort into anything, you want it to be successful. Last year, Mazda Speed really stepped up our focus to say, let's not race the rest of the season last year, work on development, get the car better so we can do what we did yesterday, which is be on the pole. So real proud of the effort. The Mazda Speed team is working great. And, you know, the Grand Am is a great place to race. You know, they want the Porsches, they want the Mazda, they want the Pontiacs, they want everybody to be out front. So that's why it's so competitive, and that's why Mazda wants to be here.
You heard him, so competitive. I'm telling you, Lee, GT today and for the rest of the year, it's going to be awesome.
Well, just listen to the enthusiasm in the voices down there on the grid. There's been a 1-month break since the Rolex 24 at Daytona. These boys are ready to roll. When we return, round 2 revs up here in Mexico. You're watching Sports Cars on Speed.
This weekend on the Speed Report, we have full coverage and analysis from the Car of Tomorrow tests in Bristol. Plus, find out why Fridays are such a pressure cooker for the NASCAR teams. The Speed Report, Sunday 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on Speed.
Evoke the rich tapestry of love and devotion. Promote the sweet saccharin of all that devotion. Twist, snap, I love you. Twist, snap, I love you.
Passion comes in many colors. The Pontiac Solstice.
There's a place where simple food like chicken is now simply extraordinary, where tomatoes are tantalizing and basil breathtaking. Artichokes art, mushrooms masterpieces, crab incredible, and asparagus astounding. Introducing Chicken Fresco, Portobello, and Oscar. From the place where fresh ingredients inspire fresh thinking, Ruby Tuesday.
The Grand Am Rolex Series comes to Miami March 24th. Go online or call for tickets.
Some people like to pretend a flood could never happen to them, and that their homeowner's insurance protects them. It doesn't. Stop pretending. It can happen to you. Protect your home with flood insurance. Call 1-888-FLOOD-50 for your free brochure. That's 1-888-FLOOD-50.
Through the years, many things pass from father to son, like Aqua Velva Aftershave. Smells great, cools, firms, and tones. Cool. Aqua Velva, men get it. Make a smooth approach. Make smooth contact with Electric Shave Pre-Shave Lotion. Stands up whiskers for up to a 52% closer shave. Electric Shave. Blade close, electric smooth.
Speed's coverage of the Rolex Sports Car Series is brought to you by Rolex, a crown for every achievement. By Ruby Tuesday, simple, fresh American dining from start to finish. and by Lexus and their passionate pursuit of perfection. Welcome back, everyone, to Mexico City. Well, this track, this venue has a storied past, a wonderful place to race, and it's time to take a look at the Lexus track map. Carl, talk us through the finer points.
Well, Lee, this track has two very different It starts with a very long front straightaway. Ideally, the teams would like low downforce here to get good terminal speed, but then you get into the tight, twisty stuff, you're going to need downforce there, so very difficult to get the setup right. Turns 1, 2, and 3, very low speed, hard acceleration down at the carousel, turn 4, and then the fun really begins. These S's are superb. You need a great rhythm through here, you need a great handling race car, but then you head down to turn 7 and 8, Dorsey, and this is where the problems really begin.
Absolutely, probably the two most troublesome corners on the whole racetrack, and it's not just the corners themselves. A ruling by the Grand Am officials dictated how a car exits that corner, and a white line that stands there makes the difference of whether you would get a penalty or not. We're going to see that be a troublesome area throughout the entire race.
It is going to be a hard day's work here in Mexico City. It's very warm, not a whole lot of humidity, but it's warm enough to make the boys sweat inside the cockpit, that's for sure. Let's walk you through some of our onboards that we have for you. Bill Aublin in the BMW Riley, the Pontiac Riley there, 99, the Gainsco car of John Fogarty. First time here, incidentally, and he's put that car on the front row of the grid. Superb performance there. The 23 Ruby Tuesday machine, the defending series champion, Jörg Bergmeister, he kicks off there. Mark Patterson in the bottom left of your screen. The pole-sitting GT car, Nick Ham, his first Rolex GT pole. Congratulations to he and Speed Source. Did a marvellous job. And as we watch the cars roll round to green, across the top of your screen is the Ruby Tuesday starting grid. And Colin Brown, the 18-year-old for Krone Racing, just starting, well, the second phase of the season, if you wish, the sprint mode in superb style.
These guys right now, you know, just really nervous. They've just first time had a warm up this morning, and we've had the NASCAR boys out in between. Different types of rubber on the car. They're going to have to feel these first laps out to see if that rubber that they have laid down is compatible with the with these Hoosier tires that they're on today.
In turn 1 especially, Dorsey, is going to be really tricky. I'm going to look for the guys on the second row. Billy Aublin is going to be on a charge. That's the reason he qualified this car, and that's why he wants to get to the front. So some of these guys are going to have to be patient. Memo Rojas, he just wants to stay out of trouble, and as he said last night in the hotel, he just wants to hand the keys over to Scott Pruitt with the car in good shape.
Well, Chris, there's a lot of excitement about this race. There's big guns up front, and it looks good.
Calvin, you were talking a little bit about the downforce setups. Just walking around the grid here at the beginning of the race, a lot of cars running a lot of different things. The 01 and the 10 car running very low downforce setups. The 58 car, much more high downforce setups. So a lot of different things going on in this paddock.
And we are away. Colin Brown is under siege from Fogarty. Aublin moves quickly, and running real wide down the front straight was Jörg Bergmeister from Ruby Tuesday Racing.
Deep braking down here as they go into one of the tightest corners, kind of a hairpin corner turn 1 is, and you can't bump each other here because there's a gravel trap on the outside.
Magnussen right around the outside of Memo Rojas as the GT field. It comes to the green, and Nick Ham in the Speed Source Mazda leads the way.
Look at the speed that little car has. We know it's a lightweight car, Dorsey, and that's really showing that right now down this long front straightaway. The GXP looks to be in trouble in straightaway speed right now. We saw that in practice.
Yep, that's what I was talking about, the 76. Already one of the Krone cars off, not in the gravel trap. He got out of there cleanly, but now he almost is at the front of the field of the GT cars.
Lee Keane got away to a good start, and he takes the lead now in class. So Keane is out. He is a GT race winner in the Rolex series, finished well here last year also, likes this track, and is running strong. Nick Ham is now under siege. That's the 74. That's the Taffel Racing Porsche. Both Taffel cars are in there, so they're up fast right from the get-go.
It's not an easy track to pass on because these corners are long sweeping corners. They're not like choppy 90s like most road race courses. Most of these are building speed corners, so it's hard to get alongside.
This is where those brightly colored new GXPRs, the Pontiac machine, should really shine here through the tight twisty stuff. They said they don't have the straightaway speed right now. It's a brand new race car. They're certainly going to look at that and try and tweak on that, get more horsepower out of that machine. But right now it's got great handling as it follows the Porsches through the S's.
Cal, you mentioned speed. How about Colin Brown? He's put half a second on the first flying lap over John Fogarty in the Gainsco Bob Stallings Riley. Bill Aublin is up to 3rd, so he is on a surge. And then it's Magnussen. Rojas has dropped back 2 positions. Then Fittipaldi and Darren Law in the top 6.
Magnussen had a very poor qualifying run. The team were really scratching their head. They threw new rubber at the car, and they got no more grip, no more speed out of Dorsey than they've been getting with 50, 60 lap tires.
Well, this is a tough racetrack to set the car up for, and because they are very high speed, these S's are very high speed, you'd like to load a lot of downforce in the car to make the car happy through here, but if you do that, the front straightaway, which is oh so long, you'll be slow, so it's hard to get the balance right.
We mentioned this at the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Bill Auberlen is a 3-time Series GT champion. He has been waiting to get his hands on a Daytona prototype full time. He's raced them in 1-off or 2-off appearances, but he is in this Seagull Sport Luggage Express BMW powered Riley for the whole season, and look at the Californian fly.
He's flying, and he's got a great team behind him now. There's been some personnel changes over the off-season. Rick Mayer is now engineering that car. They've got a very experienced crew chief in Gilbert Lage. He's got Formula One experience running Alan Prost 20-odd years ago, and right now Bill is happy. He feels he's got the machinery to get the car to the front, and he's showing it.
Let's take a look at what happened to the 76 Krone Pontiac Riley. Tracy Krone behind the wheel. Watch further back, the green car gets sideways. Did it get helped?
It could have gotten help. They were so tight back in there. You also have a stack-up effect as everybody's starting to slow down. Take another look here, see what maybe we can look at the second green car in the back of the picture. It's not quite there yet. Yeah, he got help. He definitely got help.
And that was the 19,
yeah.
The Finlay Motorsports car.
That's a great chamber trade. He had a tremendous qualifying run. He was just under 2 seconds off the pole time. He's done a lot of working out in the off-season, been working with a shifter car, really trying to hone his skills, and he pays a big tribute to the team in Bentler. Put 2 great race cars on the racetrack this weekend. He will be disappointed.
And mad, more than likely.
It's fairly equidistant, 1 through 4. Then we go back here to the 5th place car, the Crown Royal Special Reserve Porsche Fab car. And you're saying, does that look like the old Fab car? Well, you're pretty astute if you are saying that, because there's been some tweaks on that car. It looks a little different, it's performing better, and Christian Fittipaldi and Harrison Bricks have done a fine job this weekend for Chiba Racing.
Yeah, not only does it look different, but it's at the front of the grid as well, if you'll notice, in front of the pit.
That's very different for that car. I mean, they really struggled. I mean, Prumos gave that car such a long run to try and get the speed out of it. They got Porsche help to really work with the suspension, but the real key with that car was poor aerodynamics. Eddie Cheever's taken over that program, worked with Ian White as engineer. They made a lot of changes here since Daytona, and boy, as soon as they got the car on the racetrack this weekend, Lee, it started to perform.
All right, let's give you the rundown as we watch Memo Rojas. Massive weekend, as Calvin detailed earlier. Born here, lives here in Mexico City. He's a second-generation racer. His father competed here at this very track. He ran Le Mans. So racing is in that family bloodline. Look at the battle here. The first of the Pontiacs. Running hard. Paul Edwards, Kelly Collins, and they will be strong. They're pushing Nick Ham, the pole-sitting car. But meanwhile, the lead GT, Lee Keane, has a very comfortable lead over Eric Lux at the moment.
Now, we talked about that Pontiac being a little bit slow in the straightaway. I should mention it is by far the largest car in the field in dimensions. It's a very, very big car compared to frontal dimension of, say, a Porsche or even that Mazda RX-8.
Nick Ham here, I don't know whether he's just trying to manage his tires during these early laps, but he's really losing a little bit of ground here to those front-running Porsches, so not sure if the Porsches are better in race trim than what that Mazda showed in qualifying, but a little bit of a head-scratch here for the team, Brian.
Calvin, I checked in down here in the GT class. First, Lee Keane. He's got a great opportunity this year, probably the best team he's been with Farnbacher Lowles. They really feel like this is his time to shine. It's kind of a make-or-break season for Lee Keane. Nick Ham in the Mazda. I checked in with Sylvain Tremblay. He said, we're just being careful right now. Way too early to throw it all away, but I don't know how far you let a car slip back. Guys, I'm kind of wondering about that one myself. But then you see the Pontiac GXP of Kelly Collins right behind it. Remember, Paul Edwards has won this race the last 2 years in a row. He's looking for the hat trick. And those Pontiacs, they're set to draft really well. You talked about being down on straight line speed. The draft is going to help them out, guys.
Well, one thing about Nick Ham and the RX-8, that car is more or less with that rotary engine. It's a momentum car. Once it gets its momentum up, it really goes quite well. Screaming little engine. On the other hand, in traffic, and when these Porsches dive bombing and buzzing them around him like he is, it's not the best car to have when it gets slowed up. It takes him a while to get it all wound up and going again.
At the front of the field, Colin Brown now boasts a 1.5 second lead over John Fogarty. Auberlen maintains third. Magnussen is fourth for SunTrust. Wayne Taylor Racing. And in the top 5 is still Christian Fittipaldi. Great story with this Pontiac GXPR from the Rolex 24 at Daytona, finishing second in class. They were surprised by that. They didn't think they had the pace to go with the Porsches. but they're saying, well, if that happened there, it might be able to happen here as well.
Absolutely. I mean, this racetrack should ideally be a little bit more suited to that car, but they had that a little bit last year. The Porsche seemed to have the straightaway speed over the Pontiac GTO, which was campaigned by TRG, obviously, to tremendous effect, winning the championship with Andy Lally and Mark Bunting. But right now, Pontiac have come back with the car they currently have on the market with the Pontiac G6, and this is a great little race car.
One of the things that was the hardest thing to overcome is the wheelbase on that car, Calvin. 103 inches of a very long race car. It makes it handle well, no question about that, but it's a bit different to drive from the car they're used to.
Should be really good through these long, fast corners, Dorsey, the longer wheelbase. Probably struggle a little bit with fast change of direction with the longer wheelbase, but certainly a good balance.
The youth movement continues. 18-year-old Colin Brown is the race leader to the tune of 1.5 seconds, but here comes John Fogarty. First time at Mexico City, and he's got that Gainsco Pontiac Riley up in the top 2 and looking strong.
The most advanced racing machines on the planet.
Formula One is about technology.
Primed and ready for action. A season of dramatic change, fresh faces, and unlimited possibilities. The stage is set, and the world will be watching.
Look at him! God, look at him go! Wow!
Formula One, the Australian Grand Prix. Live coverage begins March 17th, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, only on Speed.
The safest accident is the one that never happens. The 2008 Lexus RX with 14 actively safe features. Learn more at activelysafe.com.
Heat. Enemy of engines. Enemy of heat? Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic, with adaptive molecules that continually separate and reform to help conquer heat. Not just oil, Pennzoil.
Sometimes one more is one too many. Know your limit. Sometimes just getting to retirement seems impossible. That's where we come in. As the nation's 401k leader, the Principal offers many simple ways to plan for retirement, making it easier for you to get where you're going. The Principal Financial Group will give you an edge.
Well, the battery's good, and the starter's brand new. So I figure it's got to be the alternator, right? Well, I go down to AutoZone to get a new one. The guy says, well, let's check out the old one first. No sense buying something you don't need. Turns out it's just a bad cable. You know, I could have spent a lot of money swapping out parts till I got it right. But with AutoZone, piece of cake.
You're back with the Rolex Sports Car Series here in Mexico City, and look at this battle. It may not be for the lead, but it is on. Darren Law, Memo Rojas, and Shane Lewis. This is for 8th, take that back, 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Well, Darren Law just had such a great run going at Daytona. In fact, he had the fastest lap of the race, and the sister car backed it up with second fastest lap in the hands of Yao Barbosa. So this team has really got on track now with these Riley chassis, Dorsey. They struggled a little bit middle of last year when they made the switch from the Fab car, but right now they're showing tremendous form.
Yeah, and they've struggled this weekend a bit too, Calvin, trying to get the qualifying wasn't what they really wanted, but they thought they had a fix for the problems. Obviously, they're running good right now. Memo Rojas, on the other hand, has dropped back, and he's going to have to be calmed down, as we were talking about, by his crew members, because he'll want to get to the front. He's dropping back pretty far, but he's got to look at the whole picture.
Yeah, he can't afford to panic here. Right now, Tim Keane, the team manager, will be talking to him on the radio, just saying it's okay, it's early in this race. Just be patient in traffic. The race will come back to us.
Well, speaking of Memo Rojas and Ganassi, let's hear what his teammate Scott Pruitt has to say.
Your teammate had a strong qualifying session, but right now sliding back around 7th, 8th place right now. What's going on with Memo? Anything wrong with the car?
Hi to my family at home. Well, he's a rookie, and for him, this is going to be the biggest race of his career so far. A lot of pressure, doesn't want to make any mistakes. I think he's just being real cautious, maybe a little overcautious right now, but that's a lot better than getting a car tore up. So he hasn't called in about anything in particular. He says maybe a little bit of push, but nothing major. I think he's just trying to settle in.
Now, is the team talking with him right now, trying to calm him down?
Yeah, Timmy's on the radio with him, just going, you know what, just hit your marks, do the right thing, be smart, just start settling into your groove and start working on the guy in front of you.
Now, you're doing double duty this weekend for Ganassi. You got pole position for the Busch race tomorrow. Your teammate, also the guy you shared the win at the Rolex 24 with, Juan Montoya, starting 3rd. Is he a little bit upset that you beat him?
Oh, no. I mean, it's pretty awesome the Ganassi cars are running that good. The Juicy Fruit Dodge ran real good. I mean, I was actually a little pleased, surprised that we did as well as we did. I thought, Juan and I were kind of back and forth. He had some problems in qualifying, and my qualifying went real smooth. So bad for him, good for me.
Well, hopefully Rojas can work through this. He definitely had a bad weekend at the Rolex 24. Hopefully he can shine here today.
Oh, he's just made a tough call there. He slipped inside the 69, the sister Speed Source Mazda with Emil Asentato behind the wheel. We should congratulate Scott Pruitt too. That was a fine pole position, he said earlier today. Let's talk GT for a moment. We ride with the 3rd place car, Nick Ham. Lee Keane still leads for Farnbacher Lowles Racing, and then it's Eric Lux for Taffel Racing. Nathan Schwartzbar, a new young driver to the Rolex Sports Car Series in his early 20s, and has done a good job. I think he surprised a few people in qualifying yesterday.
He really has, and it's a busy season for Taffel Racing. They're not only running here, they're also running in the ALMS, so Tony Dow and the boys have certainly got a lot of work on their hands.
Briefly on board there with Kelly Collins, and look at this.
Look at that shuffle. Here comes Darren Lauder in the middle of all that.
They knew this was going to happen in these rhythm sections through the S's. They knew that traffic was going to be a problem. The Director of Competition, Mark Raffoff, warned them about that. He said, keep an eye out. Don't do anything silly through these high-speed corners. Time will come where a passage will open and you'll all be able to get through safely.
This is where Memo Rojas is at his weakest link right here. He's most vulnerable to these other cars. He's never raced this car amongst all this different traffic of different speeds, and it's so easy to make the wrong error, to make the wrong judgmental call, and right now he's just going on gut instinct. It's all he has.
It's just experience, Dorsey. We know the kid has talent. We've seen him run in junior formula over the years, and he has a lot of speed. But right now, he has got enormous pressure on him. He doesn't want to put a foot wrong. As Scott said in his interview, his teammate, he's probably just being a little too conservative. But right now, this is the tough part of the racetrack. Through these S's, these GT cars are just hanging on through there, through the bumps, and the faster Daytona prototypes are trying to make their way through.
Shane Lewis, the red and white number 3, the Lexus Riley, right there for Southern Motorsports. It's a new car for the 07 season. They're a little frustrated. Shane was a bit frustrated yesterday. He couldn't squeeze more out of it than 10th. But now look at it go. This is Lexus Riley versus Lexus Riley. And Rojas, while he's maintaining his position in the top 10, is now some 21 seconds behind the race leader, Colin Brown, who's now put another half a second on John Fogarty. The lead is out to 2.5 seconds, and Darren Law is closing in on Fittipaldi.
Well, this is going to be a great battle here for Christian Fittipaldi and the whole Chiva Racing team. This Fab car has not turned a wheel in this new disguise with the new bodywork on it, so this is really a big learning curve for this team. They were fast, yes, but the longer runs, Dorsey, that's a whole different story with this new tire as well.
And amazingly, Calvin, that bodywork that they put together and put on that car has never seen a wind tunnel. They made it up off of what they thought would work. They didn't have time to test it a bit. They put it together, threw it here. It's doing really well.
Spoke with Dave Klim from Fab Car, and he said if you were to wrap it up in a nice little bundle, the front end of it's a lot steeper, same shield, same roof, rear deck lid is a little shorter and a little lower, sides the same, cockpit's a little narrower.
Well, they tidied it all up. It's something the car needed. I mean, they worked, like you said before, that the Brumos team worked so hard with Porsche's help to get the chassis right. So it was a pretty good car underneath the skin, but it really needed some help there.
A lot of people at home may be wondering why a team or a chassis manufacturer allowed to make these changes in the middle of the year. Well, there was actually a rule in place. We actually spoke to Mark Grafhoff, competition director here this morning, about why they were allowed to make these changes. Back in the middle of 05, teams, chassis manufacturers could actually apply to make some changes, and they really felt the Fab car definitely needed some help, so they allowed them to make these changes, and now they seem to be on more of a level playing field.
This is good for Christian Fittipaldi. He'll be relishing this opportunity to fight blow for blow with Darren Law. And make no mistake about it, Darren Law and David Donahue are bitter. They are very disappointed with what went down at the Rolex 24. They are out for revenge, and they feel that this can be their year. Here's the defending champion, Jörg Bergmeister. He's doing it tough, back in 9th.
$99 NASCAR tickets. Las Vegas Motor Speedway. March 9th through 11th. Triple your fun with the NASCAR Cup UAW Daimler Chrysler 400, Busch Series Samstown 300, and NASCAR Qualifying Day. All for just $99. New higher banking means faster, tighter, more exciting than ever. NASCAR racing, all for only $99. Ask about the fan-friendly Neon Garage when you call 800-644-4444. 800-644-4444 for the NASCAR Triple Play. Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
People think it's strange that we say hello to everyone who walks in our door. People think it's strange that we actually keep our restaurants clean. People think it's strange that all our food is prepared fresh and our price is fair. But we think it's strange that people think it's strange. Welcome to CC's, the endless pizza, pasta, salad, and dessert buffet, all for under $5. CC's Pizza Buffet, almost too good to be true.
All I'm saying is you can tell a lot about someone from their car.
No, I don't know what you're saying.
I mean, take this one. Leather seats, nav system, Bose surround sound. This guy is the man.
Introducing the 244 horsepower turbocharged Mazda CX-7, the SUV you never saw coming.
The man. Yeah, you're the man.
What?
The Mazda CX-7. It all comes back to
Monday on Art Fennell Reports.
As always, we'll look at the news and the issues shaping our world, and we hope you'll be a part of it.
Art Fennell Reports, Monday at 10 on CN8, the Comcast network.
Not everyone under their current plan can forward home phone calls and receive them far from home. Not everyone can access their own personal call history or check voicemail from a website. And not everyone can view the details of their calls online from anywhere. If this doesn't sound like the old phone company, it isn't. Comcast Digital Voice. So many features for so little money. So maybe it's time to leave Verizon. Get Comcast Digital Voice for just $33 a month for 12 months. Call 1-800-COMCAST.
CN8 serves up an afternoon of the best cooking on television. Christina Cooks at 4, Flavors of America at 4:30, and The Fret's Kitchen at 5. Weekdays beginning at 4 p.m. Eastern. For great tasting television, watch CN8, the Comcast network.
Welcome back to Mexico City, and it is on here. Kelly Collins is facing the wrong direction, and we understand there has been some form of collision with the 74 from Taffel Racing of Eric Lux, and you can see the smoke left over from the massive lockup.
Saw Eric Lux's car also going the wrong direction for a while there. Took a little longer here for the 07 to get going again.
And where's that? Is that down the end of the back straight down into turn 4?
It was turn 1 there.
Could have been the exit of 1.
And seemed like Kelly was really struggling to find a gear, and when he finally did take off, seemed like he's in like 3rd gear instead of low gear, so I'm not sure if he damaged anything there. The other car's off.
Now the
Leighton.
Flat tire for Leighton.
Damage right front. Look at the right front tire's gone.
So in the same lap, drama for both Banner Racing Pontiacs.
That looks like a tire failure to me almost. doesn't it, Duke Alvin? I mean,
I mean, it's shredded now, Dorsey. Whether any bodywork got damaged initially, then cut it down. But we haven't seen a replay yet to see what happened in turn one, because Leighton wasn't that far behind Kelly at the time, Lee.
Wow, can you believe it? And here comes our race leader in the background. Behind this damaged GXPR, Colin Brown is sweeping around the outside in the Crone Racing Pontiac, now enjoying a 3-second lead over John Fogarty, who maintains second. Let's see if we can decipher what happened.
This is Kelly Collins we're looking at, the first incident, and it's already happened. Couldn't really see if there was contact there, but both cars off course.
Well, we do have an onboard with Kelly. Here we go.
Let's listen to this one. Now Kelly actually got the thing all locked up and was hit from behind, but he was actually in trouble there, not getting the gear.
He was. You see another spin here with the 21 BMW machine, but you're right, Dorsey. It looked like he locked it up under braking there. It looked like the Porsche was a little slower going down in the corner. Kelly misjudged it, locked up the rear end, collected Eric Lux, and maybe Leighton Reese was wrapped up in the same incident.
Brian.
I was looking at the replay too, guys, on the big screen. I'm wondering if Leighton Reese didn't get into Kelly Collins when Kelly spun, but either way you look at it, a lot of damage to Leighton Reese's Pontiac GXPR. In here you see the right front fender is basically gone. It's got a new tire on it, and they're putting some of these sheets of sticky material over it to hold it together. This stuff is awesome, much better than the tape we've seen used in the past. This is going to be a long, lengthy repair for the team that ran so well and finished second at the Rolex 24.
Yeah, that's like duct tape on steroids, isn't it? It's about a foot wide.
That's a great patch, though. You know, duct tape, it would have taken you a long time to cover that much distance. But I think what happened was Kelly Collins went down in the brake zone and got in neutral gear. He didn't get the thing into a downshift mode, and as a result, it locked up those tires and he got collected.
And then after the spin, Dorsey, he was struggling with the transmission, so it may be some kind of issue with the transmission that Kelly's been struggling with.
Back up front, check this out. Bill Auberlen is under siege from Jan Magnussen.
Well, these two guys do not give an in, so this is going to get pretty wild here in a couple of laps or so.
The key thing is that while these guys are battling over third, the front two boys have just disappeared. Colin Brown and John Fogarty have gone. There is some 7 seconds between the second place Fogarty in the Gainsco Pontiac Riley to Bill Auberlen, so they have a commanding position up front, particularly this young man. Colin Brown has done a great job so far. Set a new track record, picked up his second career pole. He actually went faster in practice than he qualified. That just shows you what good form he's in and how solid that car is at the moment. And who else will he hand over to? Well, it's his new co-driver for 2007, Mad Max Pappas, will take over after the pit stop.
Well, Lee, we've heard just a minute ago that team principal Leighton Reese in the 06 Banner Engineering Pontiac actually is who hit the 07 Kelly Collins. That hit we heard was the 06 impacting the 07, who then hit the 74 Tafel Porsche and spun him out as well.
That'll be like the Three Stooges back there. They'll be poking each other in the eye and slapping each other on the head when they get back.
That didn't work well.
Colin Brown doing a tremendous job. They're showing good patience in traffic, but this team are actually using a new shock absorber package here this weekend. Dynamic shocks, which have been used to very good effect by the Newman Haas team over in Champ Car Racing. This team have worked with them on the shock dyno, Dorsey. Haven't done a test with them, but put them on the car. I spoke to Nick Johnson, who drives the sister car, the 76 car, this morning. He said, not more mechanical grip, but it just handles the bumps so much better. And there's a much bigger range of adjustability without changing the valving, so the teams really enjoy that.
Isn't that great for Colin Brown, whose father just happens to be one of the best engineers in this type of trade, to get that advantage on those shocks.
We ride with the second place, John Fogarty. The team wanted us to call him Juan Fogarty on the broadcast, so there you go, John. He's doing a fine job in second place. 2.2 seconds behind our race leader. You may notice some tweaks with the paintwork on the Gainsco machine, sporting the Mexican colors, and there's a good reason. There's some 80% of Gainsco's customers are from the Hispanic community, so this is a very important race for them, and they want to do well here. As we take you back to another replay of the incident with the twin Pontiacs.
There it is. Leighton Reese hard under the back. Doesn't take Kelly Collins around, who hit the 74 Lux, puts him out. So Leighton Reese, the team principal, I got to call him at fault on that one.
Well, I think the reason we heard the rear tires locking up is because they were in the air doors.
Yeah, he was having a little pressure from behind. That's what happened there.
We're hearing some reports there may be some wisps of smoke coming from the race-leading car of Colin Brown. We'll keep a closer eye on that.
Well, this is exactly what they don't need. They have to rebound from that average finish at Daytona. They need a good, clean run here, and this team has just come so far. They had such a great championship run last year, Dorsey. Didn't really start off the season on fire, just collected points, and then mid-season, they were just on fire, scoring victories.
And they start out on fire again. Of course, their Daytona run wasn't all that great, but, you know, for Colin to come in here and put the thing on pole, he had it by quite a bit, actually, when you look at the time.
Check the margin, 1-2. This guy is flying. John Fogarty has taken 3/4 of a second out of Colin Brown. Traffic that could be, or it could be John picking up the pace.
Oh.
And 59 is in trouble here. The Brumos Porsche is in major dramas, and that is JC France.
Doesn't look down on a tire either. It looks like that's engine smoke to me, or gearbox, one or the other. Take a look at the back of it here. Looks like it's coming out from under the car, not out of the exhaust pipe, Calvin, which usually indicates a leak.
Yeah, and this is a shame for these guys as well. They finished fourth at Daytona, and their day is probably going to be a short one.
Yeah, I might take that back. I think that came out the tailpipe.
So after a strong start to the year, it may be a premature ending.
The most advanced racing machines on the planet.
Formula One is about technology.
Primed and ready for action. A season of dramatic change, fresh faces, and unlimited possibilities. The stage is set, and the world will be watching.
Look at him! God, look at him go! Wow!
Formula One, the Australian Grand Prix. Live coverage begins March 17th, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, only on Speed.
Our chefs handcraft each burger fresh to be the best, one at a time. So while we'd love to say we have a burger with your name on it, we can't till you get here. Handcrafted burgers, yours always. Ruby Tuesday.
If you want to make your hard-earned dollar go a whole lot farther, get to Advance Auto Parts for our everyday ready-to-go low price guarantee. Nobody can beat our prices on just about anything for your car.
We're ready in advance.
We're going to be swamped getting this shipment out this morning.
Don't worry, I'll use my Nextel. Customs cleared?
Yep.
Containers can go.
All right.
All drivers dock 3.
Okay. Already there.
You're fired.
The power to get things done. Nextel. Only from Sprint. Get the power of 2 networks. The Nextel walkie-talkie network and the Sprint voice and data network have come together on one powerful phone. Introducing Motorola Buzz, the superior Nextel walkie-talkie network, over 20 million people strong, plus enhanced voice and data capabilities on the powerful Sprint network, all in a sleek, rugged frame. The first in the PowerSource family of phones, now only $59.99. One phone, 2 networks, a million ways to get things done. Nextel, only from Sprint.
This renovation is so energy efficient.
Oh, really?
Yeah, double insulated windows, low flow faucets, propane appliances, like that tankless water heater.
My room is going to be really great. I can see it now. What's your fireplace doing in my dream room?
Just warming it up.
For me? Thanks.
Looking to build, buy, or renovate? Look to energy-efficient propane at usepropane.com.
If you want controversy, if you want opinion, if you want the tough questions asked, we'll join Dave Despain, of course, on Wind Tunnel tomorrow at 9, 6 p.m. Pacific, of course. Co-host Robin Miller and Ed Hinton, and special guest Ben Spies, the defending AMA Superbike champion. Look at this, the battle is on. Memo Rojas, after taking some settling in time, is back, and he grabs that position from Darren Law, and he now moves up into 6th position and is heading in the right direction. The young Mexican has got some confidence. He's taken time to get into the groove. Big responsibility, big pressure this weekend, but here he comes for Ganassi.
I think that's all it was. He had all those cars around him.
We've spoken too soon, have we? Ran a little wide?
Nah, he'll be all right. I mean, he just was under a lot of pressure there, didn't want to hurt the car. Now he's got the butterflies out of his stomach, and he's going down, getting in business. In the meantime, the teammate car, the Ramos Porsche, the 59, has been retired with an engine failure, which is what we were talking about.
And Chris has more on that.
Down here with Hurley Haywood. Hurley, JC just brought the car in, team pushed it behind the wall. It sounds like it was an engine failure. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm really not quite sure what happened. It's something gave up inside the motor. We were running good. We were running right on pace, and JC was doing a great job, but just wasn't our day. It's too bad because we had a really good finish at Daytona, and we wanted to get in the top 10 here, which I think was very doable. So, but that's racing.
Well, like Hurley said, they had that great finish at Daytona, finishing just off the podium. So this team definitely rebounding from where they were last season.
Well, right now we see Memo Rojas really stretching out from Darren Law. And one thing that this team has found this year with this new tyre, Dorsey, they're getting tremendous mechanical grip. That's allowed them to really trim out that 0-1 car. At Daytona, wow, they were really good in traffic because they had the straightaway speed and they got better fuel mileage. Spoke to Timmy Keane this morning. He said we've done exactly the same thing here.
And you know what? That could have been his problem while he was in traffic too, Calvin, because taking and trimming the downforce away, when you get around other cars, it takes that wind off the front of the car. It makes it really want to push all the more, doesn't it?
It does, and right now, this is where we've seen Memo struggle a little bit. Look at that, he seems to get himself boxed in here. He's really not reading the traffic as well as he should, and some of the more experienced drivers like Darren Law and some of the other guys we saw earlier in this race have been taking advantage of him.
So he really didn't need to put his nose up in there, because if he can't make the pass, neither can the 58, can he? I mean, he's got to stay behind him, but he's got himself off pace now by doing that.
Chris?
Lee, both of these cars running two very different aerodynamic setups. As Calvin was just saying, they're running a very smooth setup on the 0-1 car, not a lot of downforce. Spoke with Darren Law earlier. He said they're having to run a bunch of downforce on the Red Bull car just because the front end hasn't been working the way they want. So as we're seeing, the 0-1 capable of pulling away a little bit down the straightaway, but Darren Law right back on Rojas through the twisty portions of the racetrack.
Yeah, the 58 was struggling with understeer through that turn 8, the Peril Tartar, and Darren said that was a little frustrating. You know, you turn the wheel and it just wasn't there for you. It wasn't hooking up the way that he'd like. But the 58 is still running strong. Can he go with Rojas? Can they make some ground on Christian Fittipaldi in that Chiva Racing Crown Royal Porsche Fab car?
Well, they won't make ground on him if they keep this battle up like they're doing right now. That downforce helps you two ways. It helps you in the brake zones because you can brake in there a lot deeper than the other car. It also helps you in the traffic areas because you got more to work with. But if they continue to battle one another, they're never going to catch the guys in front of them.
Shane Lewis is hanging around there. We saw him in the background there. So a great effort by the Southern Motorsports team once again. That's a little team, Lee, who does a lot with a little.
They do, and it's all about stretching the budget, isn't it? Making it work with what you've got. And of course, Shane will hand over to Randy Ruhlman, who we know so well from the Trans Am Series. Rojas, we know, will hand over to former series champion Scott Pruitt, who won here last year. This car, a year ago, led all 100 laps. Never been done in Daytona prototype history before. Look at Darren Law, puts the pressure on as Rojas wraps up the GT class leader. Look at this. High and wide is Darren Law, and he leaves the door open for Shane Lewis. Side by side through turn 8. Great work, Shane.
Shane Lewis read that perfectly. I don't think they knew that Shane Lewis was hovering around back there either.
This is sensational stuff, and Shane Lewis, he is tenacious, mate. He just keeps hanging in there and waiting for that opportunity to shine, and he's doing it today in the thick of this battle. I
think Darren Law had no idea whatsoever that Shane Lewis was there. They played a little cat and mouse game. Now he gets back underneath again.
Well, that's that downforce you're talking about. As Chris just mentioned, they've loaded the 58 car up with downforce. That allows it to really get deep into those brake zones without locking up those front tires.
This is one of the wonderful things about the Rolex Sports Car Series. Okay, fair point, you've got all three chassis the same, but you've got a Lexus leading a Porsche, leading another Lexus, different teams, different engineers, similar cars.
And different downforce packages like we're talking about. That makes a big difference around the balance of this racetrack.
That's what we said in the track, Matt. Two very different personalities at this racetrack. You got that long straightaway, you'd like to be bullet fast down there, but you need the brakes, you need the handling as well.
Oh, look at this. Darren Law did not want to sit behind Shane Lewis for too long. Gets that position back. This battle, we're talking about 6th, 7th, and 8th.
I think Shane Lewis woke everybody up there. I think, you know, he was just creeping up on them, and they were so intent on their own battle, they weren't looking behind, and he was coming.
Just want to update you in the Daytona prototype class up front. The lead is now 7.5 seconds. Brown over Fogarty. And there's Max Pappas taking in a little extra oxygen, trying to stay cool. He's been a little ill this week.
Yeah, I mean, Max said before he even got down here to Mexico on Tuesday, he spent all day in bed, got some kind of virus, got down here, didn't feel well. He's been getting an IV daily by their team doctor down there at Krone Racing, and he said this morning, I feel much better, but right now they're just being safe, trying to get Max in good shape to take over from what is the class-leading car right now.
I'm not sure he wasn't taking on a little nitrous. He's been being happy down there.
Look at this. Shane Lewis is getting held up a little bit there from the 06 Pontiac. That's given Darren Law some breathing room. Here's the rundown. It's Colin Brown who leads the way from John Fogarty. Oberlin maintains third, Magnussen fourth, so the SunTrust car wasn't able to break through, and Fittipaldi is still in the top 5. Let's hear from Mad Max.
Max, we know you weren't feeling well earlier this week. Right now, Calvin's thinking you're taking a little bit of oxygen. Dorsey thinks you're taking a little bit of nitrogen or nitrous. What is it, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling quite a lot better thanks to Vincenzo. He's been helping me out a lot. And this is just, for us to feel a little bit stronger, to bring a little bit more oxygen into the body. We are in very high altitude, super warm today. It's going to be a very physical race. But you're right, Dorsey, maybe a little bit nitrogen inside. I'm going to check it out. I hope it's going to give me the next boost.
We see a lot of drivers taking oxygen before this race. Does it really help your lungs out as you get in the car?
Here you're in very high altitude. You wanna help yourself as much as you can, and this I will tell you after the race, but I already feel better, and it's a good feeling.
Well, Max also has his son here this weekend, so maybe it's not that he hasn't been feeling well. Maybe it's just he's not getting a lot of sleep.
And you've never seen a prouder father than Max Pappas. Sadly, he lost his own father late last year, and he's been carrying his son Marco with him everywhere this weekend. We'll be back.
The Riches Series premiere, Monday, March 12th at 10, only on FX.
On any given Sunday, more Mazdas are road raced than any other car. You only have to drive one to understand why. Mazda, it all comes back to.
Sometimes one more is one too many. Know your limit.
The Honda VTX 1800. Choose from 5 distinctive styles, 13 exclusive colors, over 50 unique looks, and over 100 Honda genuine accessories. It's our most powerful performance cruiser ever. But you make it your bike. Create your own at vtx.honda.com.
We are cardiologists and nurses, surgeons and researchers, all working relentlessly to advance heart care. We are the University of Pennsylvania Health System. We are medicine.
At this very second, the available 4MATIC all-wheel drive system is sensing wheel slip. It automatically maintains constant wheel speed to help eliminate the loss of traction. At Mercedes-Benz, we have a firm grip on winter weather.
4MATIC all-wheel drive. Available in 7 Mercedes-Benz model lines.
sports car racing is not just about the drivers. This truly is a team sport. We've got 30 laps in the book already. Pit stops will be occurring in the next half dozen or so. And Calvin Fish tells us about one of the new features of a pit stop in 2007.
Whenever you reduce the amount of time spent on pit lane, it certainly increases your chances of victory or gaining track position during the race today. And over the course of the off-season, Grand Am have implemented a change with the Daytona prototype refueling process. It's been sped up by around 10 seconds. How did they do this? Well, all the teams now use a standard fuel rig. The fuel is put in this, and then it runs through this fuel hose that has to be exactly 10 feet in length. This fuel hose then runs down to what we call the red head, the piece of equipment that connects the refueling rig to the race car. Now, last year, this refueling process was taking around 40 to 45 seconds, because within the hose sits this fuel restrictor. Last year, it was 1 inch in diameter. The Grand Am were very concerned that the cars were sitting idle for too long. They wanted to get them back into action so the fans could see the cars on the racetrack. So a very cost-effective way of doing this was going to a bigger fuel restrictor. It went from 1 inch up to 1.3. At Daytona 24-hour race, we saw refueling times in the 30 to 32 second range. It's a lot more fun to see the cars back on the racetrack. But now the pressure is on the drivers. They have to get that driver change done very quickly, very effectively. Last year, it was mistakes on the racetrack that cost drivers the chance of victory. This year, it could be a mistake right here in pit lane.
Nice piece, mate, as we rejoin. Wow. This is on, and there's been contact between Magnussen and Orbelin.
Well, we think it's been between those two. There's definitely been contact on Oberlin. You saw the right rear stuffed up in there.
The Siegel Sport BMW heads for pit road, wounded, as we take a look at the replay.
I'd say you were right, Calvin.
Whoa.
Yeah, is that turn 4, Dorsey? Coming down to the
carousel. Oh, a good save by Oberlin. Fantastic save not to spin the car.
That is a big heave-ho right there.
The team were ready. We saw Matt Alhadif ready to go. Brian?
Bill Oberlin brings it in. It'll be a routine stop as far as driver change in fuel, but not routine as far as the body work. It'll have to be repaired on the right rear. Sorry, guys, I'm out of breath a little bit. They're run down pit lane. Not only are these engines having a hard time breathing at over 7,000 feet, this old man is too.
Hey, we'll cut you some slack. We're at high
altitude.
Well,
I appreciate that.
Needs a bigger restrictor, mate.
Yeah, exactly. You see the damage to the bodywork on the right rear now. That's a pretty important aerodynamic device. The air flows around it and underneath and over that rear wing, so they're going to have to fix that to get this car back out and get it to handle properly.
Well, contact is a part of racing, but it's a shame when this car was running so strong, and we need to keep a close eye on how the officials handle that. Will they slap Jan Magnussen over the wrist and bring that car in for a drive-through or a stop-and-go?
I hope not. His teammate Max Angelelli had a stop-and-go penalty here last year that took them out of the reckoning, dropped them all the way down to a 9th place finish, and let's take another look at it.
Well, there's really no question about the fact that the contact was with Magnussen, and you got to put the fault there, because certainly, you know, the front car did not back into the rear car. You see right there, shovels up the back of. Now look at Bill Oberlin, the 0-5. A fantastic job right here of saving that car.
Great save there. You see Wayne Taylor looking at that. He's out of the car this weekend, of course, ran the 24-hour race. Expect to see him back in action at the Watkins Glen 6-hour, but he realizes this team in the challenge of this championship, they can't afford any bad results, and they need to get this car on the podium here this weekend, and it's going to be a tough call for Mark Raffoff.
The only thing that might save that from a penalty is the fact that Oberlin did not spin the car. He kept control of the car and stayed in front on position. Had he spun in left position, I'm positive it would have been a stop and go.
Seemed to be a big change, a difference in speed there, yeah. Dorsey, so I'm not sure what happened, whether Billy was getting a little bit wide. It's hard to tell from that camera angle.
Well, Brian's got more.
Bill Oberlin just climbed out of the car, obviously not happy, talking to the crew. Bill, from your point of view, what happened, bud?
I mean, take a look at this. The Siegel Sport Luggage Express, dynamic BMW car, running great, 3rd place. Magnussen, better than that. The way he's got to go by, he's got to hit me from behind. That is a very chicken move. I am really, really unhappy with him. And let me just tell you, people get theirs back and forth, and it's going to come. And I am so unhappy. You've never seen me this unhappy, ever.
He's right. I have not ever seen him this happy. And as he said, what goes around, comes around. Lee?
Well, Magnussen's going to cop it. He's going to get a drive-through penalty, we've just heard. So car 10 will be on pit road next time round.
Of course, that wasn't the go-around, come-around penalty that he was talking about. Albert wants retribution.
And I tell you what, though, Dorsey, it wasn't like Jan was trying to, rough him up. It just looked like a misjudgment, because if Bill wasn't ever a problem, he certainly believes he was, and he got into the corner clean, and Jan came in there about 5 miles an hour faster.
I agree. Look at this. So Memo Rojas under big pressure again. 3 wide for a minute there as they come around the corner. Shane Lewis and Darren Law and Memo all really mixing it up.
He's got him again. He's got him again on turn 8. Law's got the inside run, though, as he pulls in behind Memo Rojas. Traffic everywhere.
Yeah, now watch out. The 3 car took I saw 2 wheels go over the white line. We talked about that in the beginning. Really didn't get into it. If we get a penalty off that, we'll explain it further. That there's a white line over there you're not supposed to get across, and I'm pretty sure I saw the 3 over there.
And Mark Raffoff said you get 2 warnings, then you're going to get a drive-through penalty. So right now, that's the first time we're seeing it for Shane, and they really trying to observe that from the starter stand right here on the front straightaway.
More on the SunTrust situation. Here's Chris.
Wayne, last year it was Max who received the penalty for contact. Now Max behind the wheel, a little contact with the 05. What's he saying about that?
Well, we understood that there was oil leaking out the 05 car because he radioed to us prior to the incident, so we're not sure. They seem to think that we're running the back of him, so we're going to do a drive-through.
So he'll be in the next lap?
Yeah.
As you can understand, a pretty unhappy team principal, Wayne Taylor, who knows what it's like in the cockpit and on the pit wall. Here it is. This is the drive-through.
Now look at the windshield. If there was oil leaking enough to slide into the back, it's going to be covered in oil on the windshield.
Of course, when this penalty is being served, he can't duck in and get any fuel or tires. He just has to drive through. It takes about 25 seconds to really go down pit lane as opposed to staying on the racetrack. So that is a 25-second penalty. Plus, you got to get the car back up to speed. So that's over half a minute. He just lost there, close to half a lap.
Updating you on the Shane Lewis Southern Motorsports episode coming onto the front stretch. Word from race control, no deal. It's okay, it was a racing situation, so he's off the hook on that example. Brian?
Guys, you heard me breathing hard when I came down to check on the 05 car. The other guy breathing hard, Shane Lewis. You see the battle taking place on the racetrack right now, but I checked in with the team. His cool suit, the breather that blows cold air into his helmet, has stopped working on about lap 5. So that man, very hot in that car right now, but putting the pressure on Darren Law.
These cars are sealed up. None of the air from the outside of the car gets into the cockpit except through a little hose, which is hooked to the top of your helmet. It comes in and it gets on top of your hair and your head, and it cools off your head. But when that quits working, Shane Lewis is a hothead right now.
So what you're saying is it's better to be bald?
Yeah, in that case, it might be. So.
I'd be in good shape then, getting there.
You're talking about Memo Rojas, who's 5th at the moment. 6th is Darren Law, and 7th is Shane Lewis. But we are in the pit stop window. They are coming. Matthew Alhadaf behind the wheel of this BMW-powered Riley, back out on track and enjoying his first run here at Mexico.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
Does not.
Are you going to get this?
Yes, it's awesome. You gonna stand there and tell me that Dale Jr. runs better at Bristol than he does at the restriction plate tracks?
Well, he does.
Actually, Roger, she's correct. As you can see here, my average finish at Bristol is higher than either one of those tracks.
500 laps on Sunday isn't enough Bristol for Junior. That's why he's running the Sharpie Mini 300 Bush Race on Saturday. Bristol Motor Speedway. Racing the way it ought to be.
I'm just saying.
Everything's getting faster, sexier, and yet less expensive. So, why not cars? Say hello to the G6 sedan, G6 coupe, and G6 hardtop convertible. G6, one of the fastest growing brands in America. Pontiac, designed for action.
The Dude for a Day Supercross style. We're giving away speed swag every week and a chance for one lucky dude to win a trip to Vegas for the Supercross Finals. Hang with the Kawasaki Factory Dudes and take home your very own Kawasaki KX450F. Tune into Supercross on Speed for the weekly code word. Then enter to win at SpeedTV.com. The Dude for a Day Supercross style contest, only on Speed.
The Grand Am Rolex Series comes to Miami March 24th. Go online or call for tickets.
Lanchester Trailer. Customer satisfaction is our #1 priority. With over 180 trailers on site, we can match anyone with the perfect trailer at the perfect price. If you can imagine it, then you can haul it. Whether you need to transport equipment, vehicles, horses, or just about anything, Lanchester Trailer is the place. We have high standards, and it's important that we sell name brand trailers that do the same. We also manufacture our own line of aluminum trailers. They carry more, weigh less, and won't rust. Lanchester Trailer, your headquarters for quality trailers, parts, and service.
The road to racing excitement starts at Mid-Atlantic Grand Prix. Get behind the wheel and head for pulse-pounding racing action at Delaware's premier indoor karting center. Mid-Atlantic's huge indoor track is perfect for parties and is a unique choice for corporate team-building events. So get ready, get set, and go to Mid-Atlantic Grand Prix. Conveniently located on North DuPont Highway in Newcastle. Or visit them online at midatlanticgrandprix.com.
Speed's coverage of the Rolex Sports Car Series is brought to you by Ruby Tuesday. Simple, fresh American dining from start to finish. And powered by Pontiac and the 260 horsepower Solstice GXP.
You'd look good in one of them, mate.
A little bit short for me. Just joking.
There's the man who needed something to stand on during the stand-up.
I need everything I can get. Welcome back, everyone. Lee Diffie, Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader with you, and Brian Till, Chris Neville down on pit road. It's a hot day down here in Mexico. The racing's been pretty hot as well in both Daytona prototype and GT classes. And fellas, we are right in this pit stop window.
Well, a lot of the teams, the Ford teams, which really been getting the best mileage in the Daytona prototype category, said like lap 30 on, so they could go 70 laps. You basically backtrack it from there from a 100-lap race. So lap 30, their window may open. For the rest of the teams, the Lexus, the Pontiac teams, they're talking around lap 40 to 45, meaning a 55 to 60 lap window to get to the finish. But the more you try and stretch it on that second stint, Dorsey, then the tires have got to really play their part at the end of this run.
Yeah, and that's the big concern, because if you caught an early caution, like you say, you could switch drivers, get everything done, but will you make it on tires? It'd be awfully hard.
How about this performance here, Brian Till? Dirk Werner has done a superb job.
Lee, from last on the grid up to second place, some 17 positions he's moved forward. They'll be closing in on pit stops sometime soon as well, maybe another 5 or 6 laps. The question is, how much tire does he have left? That Mazda that he's chasing of Nick Ham is some 300 pounds lighter, over 300 pounds lighter. So that car is going to be a much nicer on the tires. But Dirk Werner right now, he is flying, guys, from dead last up to second, and he's still going forward.
Well, what we should say is he didn't qualify dead last. He actually qualified quite well.
Yes.
The car was a little bit too low after qualifying. He had to start dead last.
The other question, I think if you bump to the back of the grid, he may have had the opportunity to change tires and start the race on a fresh set of tires. So the other guys have tires they qualified, they have to start the race on. Those guys may have put a fresh set of rubber on there.
All right, pressure is off. Memo Rojas, the question is, what's happened to Darren Law? Look at that margin. It is huge. What has happened to the 58 Red Bull?
And the 3. I mean, both those guys were all together a minute ago.
Well, this is what happened to the 3. Speak of that, Dorsey, very appropriate. Here's the replay.
We take Shane Lewis off the road, pretty hard off right there. Now, no damage to the back, I don't think, Calvin, but did he do that on his own? I think he did.
It seemed like there's another car in the picture that flashed through at the same time, so I'm not sure if he was taking avoiding action on one of the GT cars, but saved it nicely and back underway.
Brian, tell us more about the 3.
I just checked in with the team, Lee. They said they just had a little brake lock up, went off, you know, didn't get the car slowed down enough, went off. Everything's fine. Just wanted to take a lap to make sure everything shook out okay, but so far, Shane Lewis doing fine.
Well, we saw those guys battling really hard, so to lock a brake, not unusual. Also, they're getting very light on fuel, so this is when the brake might lock up if you had a little bit too much toward the rear with the fuel burn off.
Well, here's the rundown for you. It is still Colin Brown for Crone Racing. The Pontiac Riley is in stunning form this weekend. Nobody can run with this 18-year-old from Texas. Chris?
Well, you guys had some questions about when our pit stop's going to start happening, and while we are in that pit window, most of these teams are saying, hey, this thing's going green. So if it stays green, both of our front runners, the 75 car and the 01 down at my end, are saying about another 18 laps or so. So both the Pontiacs and the Lexus on pretty much that same fuel strategy at this point in time. Now, the big question at this point is tires. I am starting to hear from some of the teams that some of these drivers are complaining that the rear end of the car starting to lose some grip, moving around quite a bit. Darren Law saying, you know, hey guys, we put a lot of downforce in the car to try and hook up the front end, but we really lost the rear end of the car now. So if this thing goes another 20 laps, it's going to be a big question. What kind of tires are these guys going to have left?
Well, another key is the change in wheels. There we see a spin there by Tom Nastasi, I think, behind the wheel of that Mustang, which actually had a lot of speed here this weekend. He's sharing the car with Alex Tagliani, but the cars don't have traction control any longer this year. So when these guys are trying to manage the tires over a long run here, this is when the traction control could really play its part. They don't have that to really help them out. But what we're talking about, we said the teams may pit at lap 40. They'd only do that if they got a caution. What they're now saying is if they want to stretch the fuel and run it out, they can get to almost lap 60.
Yeah, they can go a lot further than that, but they're all in their fuel window. You look at the 39 wiggling around. He might have trouble on fuel pickup. I'm not sure, but that's normally what you would do if the car started starving for fuel.
This is Christian Fittipaldi for Chiva Racing, the newly designed Crown Royal Special Reserve Fab car, and Christian may be
in trouble.
Big trouble.
What a shame. They put in such a great performance all weekend long. Christian will not be a happy boy right now. We saw him weaving around, Dorsey, as you said. Maybe he's feeling something in the suspension, possibly. I can't see anything wrong, but typically that would mean that he's hunting for fuel, trying to get some fuel to the pickup on the other side of the car.
And you wouldn't think he'd be out of fuel on a normal basis, but maybe the car's not pulling all the fuel that it has up through the pickup. He'll shake the car, try to slosh the fuel over, and get good, but this is not good for Christian Fittipaldi.
Chris?
Lee, right now the team is saying that Christian is thinking that they possibly lost a drive shaft. So I'm kind of wondering why he might be moving the car around quite a bit, but the team is ready for him to get to pit lane. They're going to throw new tires and fuel in the car. Take a look at those drive shafts and see if there is an issue. But obviously, you've got to remember that this is a brand new car, first time out at a race, and sometimes it's difficult to get these things to go the whole distance.
In a drive shaft in American car terms, it'd be an axle. They have independent rear suspension, a left axle and a right axle, and when you break one of them, the locker unit and the differential drives the other wheel. He's trying to diagnose the problem and tell the crew so when he gets there, they can fix the thing.
And even though Wayne Taylor Racing's SunTrust Pontiac Riley had to perform a drive-through, Jan Magnussen is still in third. He may be almost a minute down, but he is there in the top three, courtesy of this man. It's trouble. So Fittipaldi is on pit road. So it's Brown, Fogarty, Magnussen. Rojas is now up to fourth. Darren Law is up to fifth. And here is the Chiva car in. How severe is the problem, is the question.
Well, if it's half shaft, this is no quick fix, and is effectively taking him out of the running for a podium finish here. That could take him out of the running to even see the checkered flag here this afternoon, Dors.
But a fantastic outing for a car untested in a wind tunnel yet. It has great promise. If it's an axle, you're right. Their day's pretty much done as far as any hopes of doing much, but the car shows huge promise. That's really good for the team. They're all smiling down there.
Well, it's no secret that the Fab car has struggled in the first 4 years of the Rolex Sports Car Series.
There you see one of the mechanics using a little air blower there to clear out the grills. Also at high altitude, we talk about the fact that, you know, it changes a bunch of things. You lose downforce, you also don't get the same cooling. There you see Christian Fittipaldi talking to Harrison Bricks there, trying to get him strapped in, tell him what's going on with the race car.
Harrison had a top 5 finish here at Mexico City last year, driving with Terry Borchella. And I think Chris Neville is on the spot there. He may be able to grab Christian when he's done helping his teammate. What's it look like down there, Chris?
Well, the team right now still trying to diagnose what the issue is. A lot of looking through the back deck lid here, trying to look into that engine compartment and see what they can find. But Harrison is getting in the car, so you got to wonder that they're thinking that they can possibly fix this. The team is still yet to try and figure out exactly what the problem is. But now that rear deck lid does come off, and lots of crew members back here checking out the right rear corner, so we'll just have to stay tuned and see what we can figure out.
No problem. We're going to squeeze in a break anyway, mate, so when we come back, we'll get an update on the Chiva Racing situation. A real tough break for those guys. Great opening drive from Christian Fittipaldi. Troubles, though, for Black Forest. Tom Nastasi going round and round.
This weekend on the Speed Report, we have full coverage and analysis from the Car of Tomorrow test in Bristol. Plus, find out why Fridays are such a pressure cooker for the NASCAR teams. The Speed Report, Sunday 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on Speed.
Most vehicles can help protect you during an accident. We prefer to help you avoid one altogether. The 2008 Lexus RX with 14 actively safe features.
There's a place where simple food like chicken is now simply extraordinary. Introducing Chicken Fresco, Portobello, and Oscar. Our freshest, tastiest chicken ever. Ruby Tuesday.
Great gear, great prices, and the great outdoors all meet up at Bass Pro Shops. Our spring fishing classics offer the lowest prices of the year and free fishing seminars. For dates and locations, see BassPro.com. Your adventure starts here.
We're going to be swamped getting this shipment out this morning.
Don't worry, I'll use my Nextel. Customs cleared?
Yep.
Containers can go.
All right.
All drivers dock 3.
Okay. Already there.
You're fired.
The power to get things done. Nextel. Only from Sprint. Get the power of 2 networks. The Nextel walkie-talkie network and the Sprint voice and data network have come together on one powerful phone. Introducing the Motorola Buzz, the superior Nextel walkie-talkie network, over 20 million people strong, plus enhanced voice and data capabilities on the powerful Sprint network, all in a sleek, rugged frame. The first in the PowerSource family of phones, now only $59.99. One phone, 2 networks, a million ways to get things done. Nextel, only from Sprint.
It's big, it's vibrant, it's sprawling, it's alive. There's never a shortage of atmosphere down here in Mexico City, that's for sure. If you have never been, it's worth a visit. Truly a cultural experience and a great place to go racing as well. The fans down here, they love their motor racing. They're very educated in motorsport, and there's a lot of history down here as well. Heavily populated, and they have hosted some truly amazing events.
All 9 million of those people are right between here and the hotel when we go home, you know.
Not going to get out of here anytime soon.
No, we're not.
Let's get back to the racing. Here is the AIM Autosport car about to be lapped by Colin Brown. Now, in saying that, the AIM car, young Mark Wilkins, the Canadian driver, after suffering some adversity in qualifying, the car struggled with electrical problems, has done a good job. He's running in 8th position, and they were the real surprise packet at the Rolex 24 as we see Milka Duno in trouble.
She actually had a good qualifying run, very close to the pace in qualifying. This is exactly what the team didn't need. Patrick Carpentier is going to be taken over from Milka when she gets the car to pit lane. They may make the call now to make that pit stop. They should be able to get to the checkered flag with no more stops.
Well, that smoke you saw was nothing more than brake smoke, and she's got her locked down, trying not to hit that guardrail or that tire wall. She didn't until she pulled forward.
Couldn't find reverse, I guess, but turn 4, we're seeing a lot of action over there today.
Team principal Peter Barron for Samax was thrilled with the result of that car at the Rolex 24. Take a look at this. Darren Law is under pressure from York Bergmeister and Shane Lewis. Lewis up the inside in the 3.
Darren Law has been under pressure the whole race. I mean, he's been in the thick of the whole hunt. All the big battles have been all around the 58 car. The 3 right on the back of him.
Listen at York Bergmeister really hunting on the throttle there, trying to get the power down. Speaking to Pat Long and York over the course of the weekend, they lost a lot of time in the practice session on Thursday, and since that time, really struggling with understeer, and I think that's what you were looking at there.
Chris?
Lead 3rd place is in. Jan Magnussen brings this number 10 SunTrust machine to pit lane. You can see quite a bit of damage up on this left front corner where he got into the 05 car, but this team doing a great job with the pit stop now. Max the Axe already behind the wheel and in. This is what we were saying in that one piece, is it was going to be absolutely imperative that the driver was ready to go by the time the fuel is done. And fuel is done on the SunTrust machine.
It is really tough to get that done, particularly these guys are very similarly matched, Dorsey, in terms of height and stature, but when you got a tall guy, imagine like Tracy Krohn and Nick Johnson doing their driver change, it's almost impossible to get it done in the time.
Well, it is. I mean, if you're the same height, you can jump right out of the seat and the other guy jump right in, but if you're taller, the taller guy's got to put an insert in there. That takes extra time, and it's really now, since they've shortened the fuel stop, paramount to get that done.
Let's take a ride with the Ruby Tuesday Championship Racing Porsche. Okay, a brief ride.
Shane Lewis is dynamite, barreling down in these corners, Dorsey. He really seems to have a car that can really get down deep into the corners. Probably running a bit more downforce. We already talked about Darren running good downforce as well, but Darren's car, as he mentioned earlier in the weekend, struggling a little bit with understeer, and he's really masked the lack of mechanical grip with more downforce in the car, and that's really just a band-aid, Dorsey. You're really not going to get the perfect race car that way.
Yeah, the Brumos guys struggling for some reason with the new, you know, they were coming on really good at the end of last year, but they've missed the setup to some degree this weekend. On the other hand, Shane Lewis and his crew of guys have done a pretty good job. That car is pretty well balanced, and that's why it's so, you know, he's so all over the back of the, oh, and there's a twitch right there out of the 58. That could be tires going off of the rear.
69 is in the second speed source car, Brian.
Nick Longy will take over from Emil Asentato. It should be a routine stop. I checked with the team. I said, this is considerably earlier than you're planning on the 70s. They said, we can make it from here. What we want to do is make sure we don't get caught up in pit lane with each other. So we'll pit the 69 first. We'll take our time, take a couple of laps to regroup, get the pit crew ready, and then we'll bring in the 70. It should all be routine. You see the driver getting in, the driver's helper getting the window net back up. And Nick Longy will take this RX on track.
Well, this is actually a brand new race car at Daytona. It's actually kind of an evolution of the RX-8 that Speed Source built last year. It's a lot lighter than the 70 machine. It's about 60 pounds lighter. They found most of that weight in the chassis and bodywork. And Jeff Siegel, who ran with the team at Daytona, is here this weekend just trying to learn from the team and act as a spotter.
Yeah, that car is some 500 pounds lighter than any of its other GT combatants. So it's a lightweight screamer.
The Lexus-powered Riley. Mark Wilkins, AIM Autosport, sharing the ride this weekend with Brian Frizzell. And this is the son of Greg Wilkins, who runs in the Doncaster, the Tim Hortons Porsche, in the GT class. So a family affair, and both father and son, for the first time on the same race weekend, got to qualify the respective cars.
Well, you know, and this car also had trouble early on, Calvin, when they went out and lost a whole session due to a wire broke, and it barely made it out of the pits, and it sat there the whole session. They lost the whole time.
That was a shame, but this team has really done a tremendous job. Finished 5th at the Daytona 24-hour race. What a performance there by the young guys. And this is the Ganassi car from 04, the car that Pappas and Scott Pruitt won the championship in. It's the very first Riley that was ever built, but they've certainly updated it. They've actually got a couple of new things on the car this weekend. They've also switched to the dynamic shock setup that the Chrome Racing guys are running. In fact, the whole operation, Larry Holton, the boss from Dynamic Systems, are actually based just down the road from these guys, so they get a lot of help there. They've also got a new brake package from PFC, which the guys really like. And here we see Colin Brown fighting traffic, Lee.
Well, and traffic has really hampered Colin Brown's lead, because that has come down now to 18 seconds. But boy, that's a healthy margin. That is a really healthy
Yeah, he's
margin.
really in trouble, Lee.
Yeah,
that's right. It's down to 18 seconds. That's like a century on racing terms.
Well, we saw the L1 car dominate last year, Dorsey, and the way things are going right now, we could see the same performance from the Krone Racing team. Colin Brown finished second here with Jörg Bergmeister. They really didn't have the pace of the L1 car last year, but this team just seems to go from strength to strength.
And we should say there's not been a caution yet, and if they did have a caution, this 18 seconds doesn't mean a thing.
It has been a faultless run from Colin Brown thus far. Pit stops, though, for these front runners, not too far away.
Hey, Lisa, got any plans for St. Patrick's Day weekend yet? Because I am going to a big party. A bunch of us are taking RVs. Your boy Dale Jr.'s gonna be there.
Yeah? Okay, well, say hi to Junior for me.
Will do.
It's Georgia's biggest party, and you're invited. The NASCAR Nextel Cup Cobalt Tools 500 weekend at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
You coming to St. Patty's Day weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
See me driving down the street.
sometimes one more is one too many. Know your limit.
Whoa, 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 where do you think you're going, Mr. Do-It-All?
I am going to do the laundry right after I start the dishwasher.
Oh, no. I'm about to take a shower.
So,
hello? Nobody likes a cold shower?
Don't worry, I got you covered.
Propane heats water twice as fast as electricity, so your family always has enough hot water.
You know, you and water, not the best of friends.
Propane water heaters can also cost a third less to operate. Learn more at usepropane.com.
Buckle in, things might get bumpy. Thankfully, the GL450 is the only full-size luxury SUV with a unibody platform to provide maximum comfort and stability. Just one reason why the Mercedes-Benz GL was named the Motor Trend Sport Utility of the Year.
The 7-passenger GL, just one of the Mercedes-Benz SUVs with standard 4MATIC four-wheel drive. The award-winning GL starts at $55,675.
The first case of HIV/AIDS was identified 25 years ago. Since then, 25 million people have died. 5,000 people die daily. The fight against this disease still hasn't produced a cure. But every day, each and every person who joins the fight brings us that much closer to winning it. So, why should I care? Because I do. Join the fight.
Back in Mexico, let's get down to the pits. Chris.
Memo Rojas just brought the Telmex machine to pit lane. Stop is just about done. Scott Pruitt already behind the wheel, but Memo Rojas with a little bit of a mistake there. He left the car in gear, so Pruitt had to get in the car and knock it back into neutral before they could start the tire change. But the big issue there was everybody got all their work done before all the fuel was in the car, even with that mistake. So the Ganassi boys once again showing why they are one of the best teams up and down pit lane here. We're going to try and take a look at the rear tires on this car as soon as we have a chance, because a lot of teams right now complain that they're really slipping and sliding around out there.
Lee, you and I this morning early when we came to the racetrack watched this team practicing those pit stops. They know how important it is for that driver change to happen before the fuel. And look at the right rear tire. We'll get Chris to take a look for blisters or any sort of abusive wear, because the cars are looking to be slipping and sliding now at this point in the race.
So Pruitt in the 01, Telmex, Chip Ganassi, Lexus Riley, and he will take it to the checkered flag. But boy, has he got his work cut out to try and catch these lead two cars. Colin Brown and John Fogarty have done a wonderful job for their respective teams. Look how far up Colin Brown has come. He is lapping the 4th place car of Shane Lewis.
And the 3rd place car you can add to the list, because right in front of that, there's Darren Law. He's going to get gobbled up here in a minute as well.
What a run from the Krone Racing pilot. This Pontiac Riley has been spot on this weekend. They achieved the team's first ever podium here at this venue last year. And standing by is Max Pappas to take over from Brown. You couldn't ask any more of this 18-year-old. Had a stellar season last year.
Right now, a bunch of these guys, Dorsey, are really feeling they need a yellow to help them out. The 10 car, certainly the 01 car, but they need that yellow after the 75 car pits, because right now if they get a yellow, the 75 is home and dry.
Absolutely, no question about it. And the 58 wants a yellow right this second, because here it is right now. Darren Law trying not to get past. It's not going to happen. Colin Brown, let me just say this. He's not good. He is great.
Inside, gotcha. Another one down. So Colin Brown has lapped the entire field all the way up to 3rd. Brian.
Your leader in GT on pit road, Nick Ham climbing out. Sylvain Tremblay will be climbing in. Should be a routine stop. Everything going well for this team. And guys, you talked about it. As light as this car is, it's very good on tires. I looked at the tires coming off this car very quickly, and they seem to be in great shape. No problems anywhere around. Crew doing a good job taking their time, making sure this stop is perfect. They want to maintain the lead and see if they can get Sylvain Tremblay out in the position that car came in. The 87 car, the Fonbach-Lowe's car of Dirk Werner, will follow them to pit lane here momentarily, but right now, a routine stop. It's all good, just waiting for the fuel, and Sylvain Tremblay will head back on track.
And as Sylvain is released, Dirk Werner will hand over to young Californian Bryce Miller, who has also done a wonderful job. Here's the Riley Matthews car. In, serviced, gone. The combination of Jim Matthews and Mark Goosens. And so too for Ruby Tuesday Championship Racing. Jörg Bergmeister has done his stint, and Patrick Long behind the wheel, 2-time winner from season 2006.
Well, we talk about these young drivers, how fit they are. Would you believe that the Porsche drivers, Jörg Bergmeister and Pat Long included, went on a 10-day training expedition over in Cyprus, Dorsey? So those boys should be ready for anything right now, whatever the season will deal them.
Brian?
Guys, I checked in with the 23. Not only did they do a driver change, but they did a sway bar adjustment as well, trying to rid that car of the chronic understeer that they have had all weekend long here. Calvin, you mentioned it, and with the understeer in these high-speed corners, you never know what you're going to get. It's not turning, and then all of a sudden you hit a bump, and guess what? It turns.
It does. It's what they call snap oversteer. You've got so much steering input in the car when it finally does kick the rear end loose, Dorsey, is around in a hurry. And that actually happened to Bergmeister on Thursday in one of the practice sessions.
You know, it's why it's so important, and you'll see tape on the steering wheel sometimes on the center of the steering wheel, and that is to dictate how far you've got that steering wheel turned when you get that understeer, that push. If you put a lot of front steering in, sooner or later those front tires are going to get grip, and when they do, you're going to be on a wild ride in a minute.
The 60 car of Mark Patterson and Oswaldo Negri Jr. currently sitting inside the top 10, right on that mark.
Wow, just like Daytona, look how far we've gone, and I might be jinxing it, without a caution. I mean, we've gone 55 laps now, and it's been caution-free on a racetrack that, you know, you can get in trouble here with all these GT cars and DPs mixed together.
And that's testament to the quality of the field, though. It's the largest ever Rolex Series field to come to Mexico City, albeit it's only our third year, as our race leader is on pit road. Well, big pat on the back for young Colin Brown. Super job. Now it's up to the big man, Italian Max Pappas, ready to fulfill his duties through to the checkered flag. And will it be a victory for the men in green? Chris?
Well, Lee, they've been perfect so far. Now they've got to just be perfect here in pit lane. This team was so discouraged with what happened at Daytona. They spent so much time and money preparing for that event, and they just were not happy with the outcome, the problems that they had with the electrical system on the car. So Max Pappas already in the car, tire change done. Colin Brown already up on the wagon, talking with his crew chief about what's going on with the car. Looks like everything is done. They're just waiting on the fuel for this car. So this team, once again, all these top teams having to make sure they get everything done before the fuel is in. So just waiting those last couple drops here, and then Max Pappas will get back into the fray.
Second place in GT, and Dirk Werner out of his Porsche. Bryce Miller will take over. Werner, the much more experienced Porsche driver of these two, but Bryce Miller drove at the Rolex 24, acquitted himself well, so he will see if he can maintain those positions that Dirk Werner worked so hard to gain from last to second. Routine stop for the Farnbacher-Lowe's team, and they've got a lot of fans back at home watching this race today. Over 300 Porsche Club guys in their shop at a tech seminar. They turned on the race. They're watching it right now on speed. Lee?
Well, we say hi to all those folks out there watching as the 60's in, Patterson out, Negri in. Oz knows this track very, very well. Raced the Pan American F3 Championship here for 3 years, won the title back in '98, and he can't wait to get behind the wheel of the 60 and get stuck into it, so to speak. Hey, fellas, one car we haven't mentioned yet today is the 77, the Doran, the Kodak Easy Share, and Jorge Getters, one of the local drivers who's doing double duty this weekend. He's done a nice job. They're sitting 5th at the moment.
3 cars in. They've obviously had a tremendous run. Shane Lewis going to be jumping out of that car. Randy Ruhlman taking over.
Calvin, one thing I've been noticing, and we see right there, all of these cars have been changing the windscreen tear-offs. There must be somebody leaking oil out there, because every one of these cars that's been in has had trouble with the visibility.
Brian?
Routine stop. You see him working on the belts, trying to get Randy Ruhlman in. Ruhlman, much larger man than Shane Lewis. He's very tall. Now they're going to go for that all-important cooler hose. Once the belts are done, you can see that gray hose there. That's what provides cool air to the helmet. Shane Lewis did not have the advantage of that. We'll find out if they can get it hooked up for Randy Ruhlman. Chris?
We're down with the man who just put on a great driving clinic. Colin, you're only about 18 years old, the age of most kids still in school, and you just put on a driving school out there today. You've got to just be so happy with that 75 machine.
Well, I mean, the Cone Racing car's running great. You know, my engineer, Dave, did a heck of a job. Really, really good on long runs, and my guys are doing a heck of a job. That pit stop was great, and I know Max will go out there and keep it where it's at, so I'm looking forward to the end.
Well, they were looking for consistent finishes to get them back in this points battle, but with a win here today, that'd be a great plug for him.
Well, you saw something right there when Chris walked up for that interview. You saw a crew guy reach inside Colin's driving suit and pull out a little silver packet. It's an ice chest. It's an ice packet that he stuffed his driving suit with to keep his body temperature, core temperature down, and they were just pulling it out so he can stick it back in the freezer for the next time around. Of course, there won't be one, but nonetheless, that's what that was.
Race leading car the Gainsco, Bob Stallings, Pontiac Riley. John Fogarty never raced on this circuit before. Highly experienced, though, and has had a very solid opening stint. It's Alex Gurney standing by to take over.
They're certainly stretching their fuel mileage here. They're on lap 58 right now, and 60 was really about the most we could see out of one of those Pontiacs. So they certainly didn't see the mileage that some of the other teams saw at Daytona, but certainly rebounding from the disappointment there. Remember, this car sat on the pole for the 24-hour race, and really just wrong place, wrong time for Alex Gurney to get taken out, and then they had a whole host of problems from there on in. But right now, fighting back, John Fogarty, first visit to this racetrack, and he is leading. Tremendous performance.
Of course, the other part of that equation sometimes becomes the crew chief watching the lap times, and all of a sudden the lap times, driver starts complaining the car's getting too loose, and you start losing time where you call him in early, even if you have fuel left.
Looks like he's going to stretch it another lap here.
2005 here at Mexico City, we ran caution-free. It was a memorable win for Mamo Gidley and Michael McDowell. Will we get another first-time winner here today with the 99 Gainsco machine? Boy, I tell you what, Bob Stallings, Kyle Brannan, the whole gang down there would dearly love that to happen.
They would. I mean, they've been so fast over the last season and just really been knocking on the door. They've had poles, they've won practice sessions. They said last year we were the practice champions. This year we want to be the series champion, and they've made a lot of changes in personnel. They had a handful of guys who just came in for the race weekends. They've employed new people. They've shuffled the staff around. I think they've got one of the sharpest engineers up and down pit lane in Kyle Brannan, and two of the fastest guys in the race car as well.
This is a car that's kind of stealthy. It's kind of slipping into the picture more and more all the time. You tend to ignore it for the higher profile teams. These guys don't run their mouth very much. They sit back, they do their homework, and they're definitely coming toward the front.
All right, let's get a figure on this split from Fogarty to Pappas. Keep in mind the 99 has got to stop. It's 54 seconds.
Well, if you had a pit stop, the teams have told me that if you come down pit lane, it costs you 25 seconds without doing any service. We know that the refueling time's in the low 30s now, so if you add those two up, we should see Max Pappas back in the lead once the 99 car pits.
And I think you're going to see that right now as he's cut tight to the wall. I think he'll go into the pit lane, and he is there now.
Okay, pressure is on. Here we go. Bob Stallings Racing team members, it is time to perform. There is no greater pressure than now.
The one thing they told me is they got to stop rushing. They just got to hit their marks just like the driver does out on the racetrack.
Let's do it now. And let's keep a watchful eye on where Max Pappas is. Will this be close, or will Pappas be comfortably in the lead? That's John Fogarty, the diminutive Fogarty, out of the car, and Alex Gurney in. Brian.
John Fogarty out, as you said, Lee. They are taking their time. It looks like a nice routine stop. You wouldn't know that they had the pressure of the potential win on their shoulders. I'm looking at the tires as they come off as well. The tires look great. I talked to Kyle Brannan earlier. He said, we're saving tires, we're saving fuel. We want to definitely do this on one stop. And right now, this car does not have a mark on it. It all started for Bob Stallings and Gainsco Racing at Laguna Seca in 2005. Still looking for that first victory. Alex Gurney on track.
Well, I think they were pretty pumped, but here comes Pappas. Pappas has got the run. He's already gone by him. And Gurney needs to get up to speed, quick, smart.
Of course, he can't get up to speed till he gets that pit out. Now he's on full throttle going, but he's lost a lot of time there.
And he's got to get those tires up to temperature, Dorsey, and up to pressure. When you set the tires before you go out on the racetrack, you set them at a slightly lower tire pressure. Once you get some heat in there, that builds the pressure up, then you get to the correct ride height, and then the car will handle correctly.
Here's Darren Law. David Donahue is standing by in the Brumos Porsche pit. So Law's day is done. What can David Donahue come up with? And isn't it interesting, guys, as we get down to Chris, we'll come back with that story. Chris?
Well, as you saw, Darren hopped out. David Donahue already behind the wheel. Really surprised that the team left this car out so long, since we heard well over 20 laps ago that Darren was already struggling with the handling of the car. Really, the back end slipping or sliding around a lot more than he wanted. So the team just trying to get David hooked up in the car. Looks like everything's just about done. And they are adding a little bit larger gurney to the back of the car. So trying to put some more rear downforce on that back end. Just waiting for the final drops of fuel to go in the 58 machine, and then David Donahue will be back out on track. And it looks like the fueler might be having a problem right now. Nope, he's finally got it pulled back, and Donahue is out. Brian?
John Fogarty just climbed out of the 99 Gainsco car. John, perfect run. It looked like you never put a wheel wrong. Running for good fuel mileage. How's the car when you got out of it? What did you give Alex to work with?
You know, I think the car is going to be just fine for Alex on fresh tires. The Gainesville car was running really well early in the stint, but interestingly enough, at the end of the stint, we picked up a ton of understeer, which was a little bit unexpected. So we were running for fuel mileage pretty quickly. We went to a fuel conservation strategy, and still we were able to open up a pretty good lead on third place, and came in, had a clean stop, and Alex is out there right now, and hopefully catch the 75 car.
Your first time to Mexico City, what do you think of the track?
It's fantastic, you know. Gainesville team put a good car on track here last year, so it was easy for me to learn. It's a fun track, it's fast, and obviously the fans down here in Mexico are great. It's cool to see the grandstands packed, and it's a fun place to race.
Fun place to race, and you heard him say he had not been here before. What a great job he did of acclimating himself to this new circuit, guys.
Isn't it interesting? 3 of the 4 teams we told you about at the top of the show that were playing catch-up are in the top 3 positions.
Wednesday night on Speed. First, it's Fire Up!
I plan on keeping that car.
Then Unique Whips.
You have to step up to the plate.
Followed by Forza Motorsports Showdown.
You'll love this.
Beginning Wednesday night, 9 Eastern on Speed.
If you love working outdoors around your property, but hate all the heavy hauling that goes with it, call now for your free catalog and DVD all about the amazing self-propelled DR Power Wagon. The rugged DR hauls big, heavy loads without straining your back. It powers up hills, through soft, wet soil, and over all sorts of rough terrain. Our smallest Power Wagon will carry up to 500 pounds, or our large Pro model with truck-style stake body will haul up to 800 pounds. All DR Power Wagons feature multiple speeds, a parking brake for safe, stable loading, a rear caster wheel that lets you turn on a dime, and a perfectly balanced dump bed for easy unloading. Or choose the optional push-button power dumping feature. So call now, 1-800-418-5285 for your free catalog and DVD, and learn how you can try a DR Power Wagon for 6 months risk-free. There's no obligation, and now you can receive pre-season savings for a limited time. So call today, 1-800-418-5285. The DR Power Wagon is great for hauling firewood right out of your woodlot, for gardening, landscaping, building projects, caring for animals, or just about any job that requires moving practically anything around your property. So if you've had it with the back strain that comes from hauling the hard way, call 1-800-418-5285 to learn how you can try a DR Power Wagon for 6 months risk-free. There's no obligation, and now you can receive pre-season savings for a limited time. So call today, 1-800-418-5285, online at drpowerwagon.com.
DR is professional power for homeowners.
Just a fraction of the color of excitement that is the Rolex Sports Car Series. Welcome back to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, this famed circuit here in Mexico, and this has been a solid run, Chris, for the Kodak car.
Boy, that's right, Lee. The team really looking to try and get a good finish here today. The Kodak machine running in 4th right now. Jorge Getter's handing over to Memo Gidley. This team quite unsure if they're going to be able to make the entire season. Kevin Doran wants to keep this car out on the racetrack, but he just says, we don't quite have the budget yet, but we're doing everything we can. We'd like to be there, and we definitely would like to be there with Memo and give him a full-time ride. But the team got to be pretty happy right now, running up in the top 5. Everything is done. Memo's in the car just waiting for the fuel. This is one of the only Fords This is one of the only Fords running up in the prototype class, and we obviously saw these guys stretch that fuel quite a ways here today.
Well, the good news when you stretch it this far, it means that Mamo Gidley now only has to do 35 laps on this set of tyres, so he's going to have really good tyres at the end of this one. And this guy has run here 3 times with 3 different chassis engine combinations. He won here at the end of 05 with his teammate Mike McDowell, so he knows the racetrack very well. And he came by and visited us with us in the TV compound yesterday, Lee, and he said maybe a small budget team, but it doesn't operate like one.
No way. And you've got to remember too that Doran is one of the foundation teams in the Rolex Sports Car Series. Kevin and his guys have been around a long time. This car and his make has been up battling and has won. So we wish them well as we go back on board with our GT class leader, Sylvain Tremblay.
Listen to that little Mazda rotor engine scream when it gets off this corner.
I bet this would be a fun car to drive, Dorsey. Lightweight, lots of revs.
I was thinking that just a moment ago. Listen to this thing. Feather the throttle a little bit. Can't quite do it flat, can you?
This is a great part of the racetrack, though.
Oh, if I could show you the faces of Calvin Fish and Dorsey Schrader. They're back in the cockpit up here.
Dorsey's changing gears over here.
I mean, the key anymore.
Well, while this is the class-leading car in GT, the Pontiac boys, well, can they achieve their objective of going 3 straight in GT here in Mexico City? The GTO-R won the first 2 years. The GXB-R, well, the best placed one is Paul Edwards, and it is around about 6th, 7th in class at the moment, doing it tough after that collision between the team cars earlier.
Dominic Farnbacher, the 2nd place GT car that we're riding, looking at right now.
He's got a busy season, also going to be running over in ALMS with the Tafel Racing Group. Right now, he competes against that group.
Just getting you back to the front of the race, and with a very important time interval. Do you remember before Colin Brown pitted over John Fogarty, the margin was 18 seconds? Well, now that both teams have pitted, Max Pappas has just a 9.9 second lead over Alex Gurney. Can Gurney eat into that lead margin is the question that needs to be addressed.
The majority of that time was probably made on the out lap from the pits for the 2 cars. One might have caught traffic, the other didn't or whatever. Both pit stops look clean, so it must happen on the racetrack with traffic.
That's a real key point, Dorsey. I mean, traffic is one thing, but when you're meeting traffic on cold tires, you can't go around the outside. You got to behave, you got to be patient, and I would say that was what caused it, because since they've been out on the racetrack, the gap has stayed about the same. So Gurney right now has not really taken any of that lead out of Max Pappas, but when they completed their pit stops, Lee, there was certainly a substantial difference.
Scott Pruitt runs 4th behind Max Angelelli. Patrick Long is 5th. David Donahue is 6th. Al Hadaf in the BMW for Siegel Sport is 7th. Brian Frizzell is 8th. Ian James for Mike Shank Racing is 9th. And Mamo Gidley is 10th. Now here is the man doing the chasing, Alex Gurney. Brian.
You guys talk about how the deficit has come down, Alex Gurney beginning to close in. The other thing to keep in mind is who's going to have the better car in the last few laps of the race. Remember, the 99 stopped maybe 4 or 5 laps after the 75, so those tires that Alex Gurney has are going to be better, or they should be better, in the waning moments. We know that Max Pappas hasn't been feeling well. That 75 car has been very consistent, but it may very well come down to tires in the last few laps of this race.
Well, Brian, Alex Gurney on that lap knocked off 2 full seconds off of the lead, so Gurney flying right now has dropped the deficit to a flat 8 seconds.
It's on. It is on here at Mexico. 67 laps down of this 100-lap event, and we are yet to have a caution. This is the 3rd place car. Max the Axe Angelelli in the SunTrust Pontiac Riley.
He needs help. He needs a caution period. He's got a fast race car, but he has a 45-second gap to the leader. There is no way he's going to make any inroads into that and really make an effort for a victory here today. Podium is great, but if he's going to get a victory, Dorsey needs help.
Last time round, Pruitt laid down a 124 flat up against the 22s of Gurney and Angelelli. Chris.
Well, Pruitt has also started in 7th, now running up in 4th. Mamo, he's got about a little over a minute gap between the leaders and Scott right now. Any chance he's going to be able to make up that deficit?
Well, we certainly need a yellow flag. It's going to be tough if the race goes clean. But, you know, you never know what can happen. We have a good car, so we'll see what happens.
Last year, Scott was able to pull out a 20-second lead, so we know he can make up some time. However, this year, time is running out.
Dawes, quickly, is this going to go green all the way?
I don't think so.
Cal?
Well, if it's good, yellow's going to happen, the drivers get fatigued, mistakes may happen in the last 20 laps.
Stay with us. Anything can happen in this final third, round 2, the Rolex Sports Car Series.
Here's the river and the bet's the cowboy. He bets a huge stack.
Go.
Jose quickly calls. Bad moves there.
Raise.
David's over the top. Mo's got nothing.
I raise.
What's this? Samsung 500 tickets to Texas Motor Speedway?
I'm out. Too much for me.
Crash and burn. They've all folded on a bluff.
Don't you gamble with your chance to see the Samsung 500. Call 888-816-8671 or visit TexasMotorspeedway.com. It's a sure bet.
Works every time.
Everything's getting faster, sexier, and yet less expensive. So, why not cars? Say hello to the G6 sedan, G6 coupe, and G6 hardtop convertible. G6, one of the fastest growing brands in America. Pontiac, designed for action.
Our chefs handcraft each burger fresh to be the best, one at a time. So while we'd love to say we have a burger with your name on it, we can't, so you get here. Handcrafted burgers, yours always, Ruby Tuesday.
If you want to make your hard-earned dollar go a whole lot farther, get to Advance Auto Parts for our everyday ready-to-go low price guarantee. Nobody can beat our prices on just about anything for your car. We're ready in advance.
The Grand Am Rolex Series comes to Miami March 24th. Go online or call for tickets.
What you're about to see will change the way you look at weather. Introducing the Rain-X Latitude, a revolutionary new blade from the makers of Rain-X Original Glass Treatment. Many traditional wipers have 6 pressure points that can create uneven pressure, which can cause streaking. Rain-X Latitude blades use a totally different technology, contouring to hug the windshield for greater visibility and virtually no streaking. So rain, or sleet, or snow get whisked away like never before. It's like weather never even happened. Get ultimate visibility with the new easy-to-install Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Order 2 blades starting at $17.99 each and get the complete ultimate visibility pack for free. Rain-X. Outsmart the elements.
If you're a fan of My Race Day and NASCAR Race Day, of course you've seen Jimmy and Kenny in their antics. If you think you can do better, send us your best impersonations of Jimmy and Kenny and you might see yourself on Race Day. It's all part of My Race Day. And of course log on to speedtv.com for more information. We have got a great race on our hands. There has just been an incident between the Riley Matthews car and the Chiva Racing prototype. But up front, the gap is less than 6 seconds. Gurney is reeling Pappas in. This is what happened a few moments ago. Mark Goosens.
Oh, big locked up brakes.
On Harrison Briggs.
And he just takes Harrison around. That was totally Goosens' fault. Harrison Briggs should be aggravated, and I would think we'll get a penalty out of this one. Oh, and pretty hard damage right there, Calvin, as they're kind of stuck side to side for a moment.
There was. I mean, he really forced the issue down there. Took a bit of a chance, but Mark Goosens is a tremendous driver, but when you're a little bit behind the 8 ball when you jump in the car, you're going to have to take risks, and he kind of took a big one there, and it didn't pay off.
We haven't heard anything about a penalty yet, but they're pretty consistent here in Grand Am about
avoidable contact, and that was certainly deemed avoidable by me looking at it from the outside.
Mark Gooses now has actually based himself over here. He's really got serious about his racing plans here in the state, from Belgium, of course. He's now over here looking for a possible Nextel Cup deal, and certainly had a bit of experience in bush racing with Riley last year. So he's a great driver. They're really confident that he can do a good job every time he gets in the race car, and the Chiva Racing Group's team, their day just seems to get longer.
Top 5 cars are on the lead lap. Here is the leader, Max Pappas. But if you look back, here comes the Gainsco Pontiac Riley of Alex Gurney.
Not that one right there, trying to get by the Red Bull 58. The 99, Alex Gurney, that lap time was hindered. He lost a couple that time, Calvin, probably because of this traffic.
Yeah, you're going to get kind of that concertina effect. You know, the traffic that Paps is going through, eventually Fogarty is going to get it too. It just depends whereabouts on the racetrack you see it. You see a batch of GT cars down the straightaway, that's easy. If you catch them in the S's, you can easily lose 2 or 3 seconds.
Well, one of the real exciting guys early in this race, he was certainly Mr. Excitement through turn 8, the Peritada, is with Brian Till.
Oh, what a great race it's been, and one of the best battles you saw involved this man, Shane Lewis, and the 3 Southern Motorsports entry. Shane, I mean, it was fantastic out there, and to find out that you didn't have the cool air blowing to your helmet, you look like you haven't even been in the car today.
Well, I've been taking after EFR and working out really, really hard. Yeah, the helmet blower broke off at about the 3rd lap, and it was really, really hot in there. I was a little concerned for a while, but I just, you know, took deep breaths, just concentrated on it, and I wanted to put on a good show for all the PLP Mexico people here, and had a lot of fun out there, that's for sure.
And the car looked superb. This small team seems to put a good mount underneath you every time you come to the racetrack.
Yeah, you know, when we first got here, we were struggling, and we just kept digging at it. That's what I love about these guys. They don't ever give up. You know, I don't know what it looked like on television, but there's some pretty good battles out there. You know, Darren Law and York Bergmeister, but I had to keep it clean. I mean, there was a couple opportunities. I could have put a wheel on them, but I wasn't going to do it. I want to make sure we had a car for the finish.
Yeah, it was fantastic battles. Great job. Let's check it out on pit lane with Chris.
Darren, what a great battle going on early in the race, but right now David is well off the pace. Well, he's not off the pace, but he's just dropped back about a lap, so it doesn't look like he's going to be able to battle with the leaders at all. You guys going to be content with a top 10 finish here today?
Oh, we'd be very happy with a top 10. I mean, we're shooting for top 5. We're 6 right now. You know, the car, we had such a great car at Daytona, and we fought a bit here with handling, and we actually overcompensated. We went from push to loose, but it wasn't bad. I had a lot of fun out there. Need to say hi to Mr. Snodgrass. He's back at home in Florida, and my family as well.
Well, Calvin, you were talking about teams having to put Band-Aids on with the aerodynamics, and that's one thing they did with the 58 machine when they came to pit lane, is they did add some more downforce to the rear end of that car to try and get the back end to stick. But a lot of the teams that are doing well here today, they spent some time testing at bumpy road courses. Maybe that's something that more teams need to think about in the future.
Well, they certainly make some adjustments there, but they can't really make massive ones, as you suggested there, Chris. And Gary Nelson has really been a big help to that team. He's got a busy week. He's working with the car tomorrow, earlier this week. He's here this weekend and heads up to Daytona to work with some bikes tomorrow.
And there's Alex Jobe, the man behind Ruby Tuesday Championship Racing. They're in the top 5.
The most advanced racing machines on the planet.
Formula One is about technology.
Primed and ready for action. A season of dramatic change, fresh faces, and unlimited possibilities. The stage is set, and the world will be watching.
Look at him! God, look at him come! Wow!
Formula One, the Australian Grand Prix. Live coverage begins March 17th, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, only on Speed.
Shh. Something's coming. What?
Listen and learn. Turbocharged, direct injected, electroluminescent gauges.
Sports car.
Introducing the SUV you never saw coming. The Mazda CX-7. Like every Mazda, it all comes back to.
People think it's strange that we say hello to everyone who walks in our door. People think it's strange that we actually keep our restaurants clean. People think it's strange that all our food is prepared fresh and our price is fair. But we think it's strange that people think it's strange. Welcome to CC's, the endless pizza, pasta, salad, and dessert buffet, all for under $5. CC's Pizza Buffet, almost too good to be true.
Viewer discretion advised. The following message may trouble drivers insured with Allstate, State Farm, Geico, and other major insurance companies. We have reason to believe you are overpaying. Yes, overpaying by $349.88 a year on average. Stop overpaying. Call now for a rate quote from AIG Auto Insurance. 10 minutes is all it takes to learn if you're overpaying and by how much. Almost 2 million people have already saved money with AIG Auto Insurance. On average, they keep an extra $349.88 in their pockets. And they have the benefits of AIG Security Advantage, absolutely free. That includes free roadside assistance, free identity theft restoration services, and free emergency travel and medical assistance. Call and ask for a free rate quote today. Call now before you overpay a penny more. Call 1-888-AIG-7030. That's 1-888-AIG-7030. Or visit AIGauto.com.
Speed's coverage of the Rolex Sports Car Series is brought to you by Ruby Tuesday. Simple, fresh American dining from start to finish. And we're getting closer to the finish, that's for sure, here in Mexico City. Welcome back, everyone, if you've just joined us. We are live here at this wonderful circuit, incredibly challenging, and that is a good adjective for various teams to describe their race thus far. None more than the defending champion, Jörg Bergmeister.
That's right, Lee. They've had challenges all weekend long. Jörg, I know the car has never been to your liking or to Patrick Long's liking. Right now, you seem to have a consistent car, but is it fast?
Patrick was doing really good lap times now. I had a little bit of problems at the beginning behind the other cars. I had way too much push in the quick corners to get by. But Patrick was doing a great job, and the guys did an awesome pit stop, so we're on P5 right now, and I think that's a good result if we end up there.
As you come into this season carrying the championship on your shoulders from last year, is it added pressure, or was that last year and you're just going to focus on the future?
No, I mean, it's nice winning a championship, but it's a new year, a new game, so it doesn't mean anything this year to be champion last year.
You heard it. He's going to focus on this year, and he's got a lot to focus on, guys. New chassis, new power plant behind him in the prototype.
And it's been a very uncharacteristic Jörg Bergmeister thus far this year. He crashed in the Rolex 24. He crashed earlier this weekend. You don't normally see that happen to a driver of his caliber.
I think it's really an indication that this group really seems to be struggling a little bit, Dawson. They came out of the box so strong last year, led so many laps at the Daytona 24-hour, went on to win races with Mike Rockenfeller and Pat Long, but then they seem to get stymied. Certainly the Porsche got a weight handicap throughout the course of the rest of the season. They just seem to have lost their way a little bit. I think they can recover. They've got very experienced drivers, good experienced team. Alex Job has got so many victories in sports car racing. I think they'll regroup, but you can't afford to have a bad day like they had on Thursday and be at the front on Sunday.
You know, this sport is such a momentum sport, and when something doesn't go your way, you tend to sometimes let it bug you too much instead of moving on forward. In the meantime, we look at this car. Alex Gurney has run the fastest lap and is the fastest car on the racetrack at a 1:22.3 on the last lap around. He's, though, 10 seconds behind. He lost a lot in traffic, Al.
He does, and you know, Max Pappas will be getting the information. Colin Brown talked about the engineer. That's a new engineer they have this year. His name is David Brown, an Englishman. He's worked with Jeff Hazel and the Krone Racing Group before, back in Formula One days for McLaren and Williams. Most recently was with the Rousport team over in Champ Car Racing. So he's a great engineer, and he's got a great driver pairing to work with here. The experience of Max Pappas and the speed and what is now becoming the maturity of Colin Brown. That's an awesome combination.
2004, the year Max Pappas shared the Daytona Prototype Championship with Scott Pruitt, was the last time he stood on the top of the podium in this series. Can he do it here today in Mexico City? We just rode briefly with Sylvain Tremblay. GT class leader Dominic Farnbacher is still second, and Bryce Miller. So the Farnbacher Lowell's car is doing a wonderful job behind that Mazda. Speaking of Speed Source, Chris has more.
Actually, Lee, it's Brian, but Nick Ham, yeah, it's me. Nick Ham, a great job taking that Mazda RX-8, putting it on the pole, but early in the race, you dropped back a little bit, and a lot of people were wondering that Mazda had lost something. What was going on?
No, I was under strict instructions not to race them at the start there, and they wanted the corner more than me, so I let them go. And as the tires started heating up, they started sliding, and I just got a good run out of this last turn and got by them. And the car was great. The Mazda Speed RX-8 fantastic car, and it really likes this circuit with the rotary engine.
You talk about the tires on the other cars going away. Is that one of the advantages of the lightweight aspect of that RX-8? I know it's several hundred pounds lighter than the Porsches. Do the tires stay underneath it really well?
Well, yeah, I think it's a lot to do with the weight, but also I think, you know, not overdriving it. You know, they were really pushing hard through the S's, and it was just like I could see it was going to happen. They were going to start coming back to me, and they did.
Well, not only is it a good car, but as Nick Ham just said, hey, the drivers have a little bit to do with it too, guys.
He's really excited about teaming up with Sylvan this year in the Speed Source car. The lead margin is now back under 10 seconds, 8.7. Traffic is coming into play, but we've got just 20 laps left.
What are we doing here, Dad?
People do it all the time.
They move into dead people's houses and use all their stuff to pretend to be them.
Doug!
We can do this.
What if I like it?
The Riches premieres Monday, March 12th at 10, only on FX.
If you don't get what you want, you scream and you shout. I'm not the only one who said it. If you don't get it, you gotta let it out. Yeah. If you don't get what you need, you're picking on me. I'm tired of getting...
Everything's getting faster, sexier, more powerful, and yet less expensive. So, why not cars? Say hello to the G6 sedan, G6 coupe, and G6 hardtop convertible. G6, one of the fastest growing brands in America. Pontiac, designed for action.
Sometimes one more is one too many. Know your limit.
When you start a business, you're investing your heart and soul. Which is why at PNC, we're always looking for ways to help. So you can be smarter, faster, and more competitive. Turning your dreams into reality. PNC, leading the way, and proud to be ranked highest in customer satisfaction.
Hey, cool, let me borrow some foot powder. Strawberry peppermint lotion for troubled skin?
I've had these bumps all over me.
That's goosebumps, dude.
It's like chills.
We'll try an extra shirt or something.
Huh.
Or long underwear.
Okay.
Pantyhose works for that. That's what I've heard.
There are plenty of ways to get goosebumps this season. Order now at Phillies.com.
If you've just joined us, this is what's happened thus far. Action on the opening lap between Rob Finlay and Tracy Crone. That was down in turn one. Memo Rojas, who started third, had his hands full as he was dropping down the order with Darren Law. And then Jan Magnussen gave Bill Auberlen the big heave-ho. And that was costly because the SunTrust car was called in for a drive-through penalty. That's what happened in Daytona Prototypes early on. This was GT on the opening lap. Lee King just blew by pole sitter Nick Ham in a fine move. Troubles for Team Salem. Dramas there for the Nonamakers. And how about this? The sister Pontiacs taking each other out. Leighton Reese colliding with Kelly Collins. And then Tom Nastasi in the Black Forest Motorsports Mustang. An easy off. But I tell you what, the 70 Speed Source Mazda recovered nicely. And they continue to lead the way in the GT class. And here is Sylvain Tremblay. As we spoke at the top of the show about the Daytona Prototype teams that need to play catch-up. Well, they have certainly done that. All those teams are well placed and they are all in the top 6. Of course, the 75. There's none better today. They are leading the way to the tune of 7.3 seconds.
And you know what that means, don't you? That means that Alex Gurney's taken 3 seconds away during this short period that we were gone.
Tell you, the other thing that's going to happen, guys, too, is it's a 100-lap race or a 2.5-hour time limit. We're going to crush that time limit by the looks of things.
Absolutely. I mean, we went without a caution back in 05. Last year we saw 3 caution periods, but the guys are keeping their nose clean with some great racing going on at the same time.
Look at this between the sister cars for Farnbacher Lowell's Racing. The 85 and the 87 going hard at it, and Dominic Farnbacher taking second over Bryce Miller in the 87. So that team is very well represented here this weekend, Brian.
They are very well represented, Lee, but the 87 right now, Bryce Miller struggling with that Porsche a bit. They have a bit of a tire issue, and they're questioning whether they want to come in and change those tires and give him a better handling car. Obviously, if they do that, we'll move him well back in the order. The other thought is, if we bring him in and change tires, do we go ahead and change drivers and put Dirk Werner, who was so quick, back in the car?
Well, I don't think it would make any difference how quick Dirk is to lose that much time this late in the race. I mean, you'd have to have a yellow for that theory to work. You know, it can only be one, unless he's flat started all 4 of them, it can only be the front of the rear that's giving him trouble.
Well, you have to look at the facts. You got about 17 laps left here, coming down pit lane, putting tires on the car. That's going to cost you about 40 seconds. So he's got to be 2 to 3 seconds a lap faster to be even back where he started from. So I don't think that's a bright call unless he's in real danger.
Gap here is down to 4.5 seconds. That is the closest it has been since the start of the race between the Krone Racing, Pontiac Riley, and the Gainsco car. Same configuration. Pontiac power, Riley chassis. Alex Gurney is turning up the heat on Max Pappas, who is getting stuck behind GT traffic here. And Pat Long is trying to get his lap back from Pappas that he just lost.
And that's going to slow up that whole process. It's not going to slow Gurney up. Gurney lapping 3 seconds a lap quicker right now. That's unbelievable. It's not going to take very long to catch if they keep messing with each other here up front.
Well, that was 4.5 seconds last time by, and we're now going to come across the stripe again. I think Gurney will have sliced into that lead even further.
2 seconds.
It's on. Let's talk more GT. Brian has more.
We talked about how strong the Farnbacher Lowell's team has been all weekend long. Lee Keane, a superb job in qualifying. The race was just as good. But do you guys, when you look at that little Mazda up ahead of you, Lee, what do you think? Do you have anything for him?
Well, I figured we did. He got by me, back by me, and I was kind of working a little bit. He was sliding around, so I figured he'd use his tires up and I'd see him a couple of laps later. But just kept going. The thing's so light, it doesn't really use tires up. But the Shoes for Cruiser car, of course, is just doing a good job and can't really complain. The only thing wrong is that Mazda, I guess.
The only thing wrong is the Zoom Noom that's out in front of him, guys.
It is on at the front. I tell you what, 2.2 seconds. Here comes Gurney. The big story here, folks, is this car has never won a Rolex Series race. It's their 3rd year in the championship, and Bob Stallings, team owner, team principal, said now is the time. This is the year we must win. It looked like they were heading that way at Daytona by putting it on pole, and as Calvin detailed earlier, they got tangled up in an incident right at the beginning of the 24-hour. Their race was done from that moment on, but it is far from done here. Gurney is in the mix.
He really is, and see how he managed traffic there, Dorsey, perfectly. He allowed a bit of a gap, he didn't get bottled up, and then got good acceleration on that back straightaway.
He did it by lifting off the throttle. When he saw the Porsche was going to catch him, he just feathered in out of the throttle a little bit and then got to run onto the straightaway. It didn't cost him any time, and he has now made up all that he needs. He's at the back door.
Pappas put on another second, though, so it's out to 3.2. As soon as Max was clear of traffic, he was able to stretch his legs again.
22.2 for Max Pappas was his lap time, so that is very quick in race conditions. So he knows the race is on. The team will be talking to him. The pressure is on Max Pappas, but he's seen victory lane before. He wants another one here today.
One of the talking points of this race earlier on, Chris Neville, was when Jan Magnussen collided with Bill Aublin. What's he got to say about it?
Well, the 10 car is showing a lot of speed right now, but it is about a minute back. And, Jan, you've got to think that part of that minute is from the penalty that you received. What happened with the 05 car?
Well, I came up behind him, hit those bumps, and got loose for some reason. It was either the bumps or something on the track, but I think it's my fault. I'm sorry for the outcome, but that's how it is.
Well, that's great to see that Jan Magnussen can definitely fess up when he makes a mistake on the racetrack. But this team, even though they would like to come here and win, this is going to be 2 top 5 finishes for them in the first 2 rounds of the year. Good start to the year for SunTrust.
It's solid, that's for sure. And that is what it's all about. These boys know how to win a championship. Although it's still the SunTrust car and familiar names to all of us, behind the scenes, a lot of new personnel. So they're very pleased with the way they're heading. It's all looking good for SunTrust, but up front, can Mad Max hang on?
The most advanced racing machines on the planet are primed and ready for action. The world will be watching the Formula One Australian Grand Prix. Live coverage begins March 17th, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, only on Speed.
All I'm saying is you can tell a lot about someone from their car.
No, I don't know what you're saying.
I mean, take this one. Leather seats, nav system, Bose surround sound. This guy is the man.
Introducing the 244 horsepower turbocharged Mazda CX-7, the SUV you never saw coming.
The man. Yeah, you're the man.
What?
The Mazda CX-7. It all comes back to it.
So, what kind of financial help are you looking for? Maybe you need insurance to help protect you. Benefits to help your business reach new heights. Or a retirement plan to invest for the future. Then again, maybe there's someone who can help with all of those things. The Principal Financial Group will give you an edge.
The new Honda Rincon. Independent rear suspension with the fuel-injected 700 class power plant. It's our biggest, baddest ATV ever. Nothing can stop it. Well, almost nothing. The new, more powerful Honda Rincon.
Back to the action here in Mexico City. We're going to take you all the way to the checkered flag, and it is on at the front. Look at this. There's probably 3 or 4 car lengths between Max Pappas and Alex Gurney. Nothing between them now. Wow. Look at Gurney come around the outside. He wants the lead. He gets the lead. How about that?
And that was due to a lap car with a problem that got in the way. Gurney saw it earlier, and he's positioned the car, got that pass made. And look at him now, set sail. Goodbye.
He didn't even think about it, Dorsey. He just slammed it down the inside.
Well, let's get down to the team owner, Bob Stallings. He has got to be loving this.
He is pumped, Lee. He's beating his fist on the cabinet. Big cheering fans down here. I just talked to John Fogerty. He said, we've got a good car. It's adjustable. 23 races in the books for this team, Bob. The 24th, is it going to be the charm? And if so, what would it mean to you guys, especially here in Mexico? I know you got a big client base that's Hispanic.
I mean, obviously, we've been waiting for this win for a long time. It's not over yet. We're in the lead. We do have a great car, and we got a killer driver in that car right now.
Well, I know for you, it's hard to run a team, but maybe one of the hardest things you've ever done is step out of the seat and put John Fogerty alongside Alex Gurney. It looks like it's going to pay dividends, we hope, today. How much would it mean? How special would it be?
Well, you know, as you know, we've talked about this. It's been really hard for me to be out of the car, but this is the reason I got out, to be in the lead. When that last lap happens and that 99 car comes around there, I'm going to be a happy puppy.
It will all be worth it if the checkered flags fall on the 99. Chris?
Well, Brian, Colin Brown was intently watching our television monitor there and saw the pass happen. Colin, how difficult has it been to negotiate all this traffic out here all day long?
Well, it's been a little difficult. You know, it's a lot of fun. I love going through traffic, and I know Max does too. It's just tough when you get guys like Alex Job who won't let you by. I mean, I don't know what that was about, but you know, we don't forget that for sure.
Now with Gurney out front, is Max going to be able to mount a charge?
I think our car's better in the long run, so I think near the end we might be able to be right up there.
Good luck, man.
Well, let's take a look at that move one more time. Alex Gurney knew exactly what he was about. He did not think twice. He went for the lead, got the lead in a split second. Here it is.
Slow Corvette right there. See the smoke off the back? It bottles up. Right there, the car's behind, and basically Alex had seen, he'd seen that slower car earlier, so he got the car in the position to take away the lead.
I think Colin was mistaken. There was the 3 car that slowed up Max there. The Ruby Tuesday car was in the background, so it certainly wasn't anything to do with Pat Long.
Well, Alex's father, the legend Dan Gurney, won the Mexican Grand Prix back in '64. Can his son go all the way and bring up his first Rolex Daytona prototype victory? John Fogerty qualified brilliantly for never driving here before, put it on the front row, did extremely well in his stint. Alex takes over, and for the first time they're in the lead of the race with just over 10 laps to go.
One of the arts of race car driving is being able to look at the big picture, look far in front of you and see all that's going on, not just between you and who you're racing, but he saw that Corvette having trouble up there, and he used it as a pick.
Sometimes you may have thought, should he have waited and been patient, but he knew that Max Pappas has a fast race car. This may only be the only opportunity I have. I have to make it stick now.
It was there, and I mean, he read it perfectly. I mean, there was no hesitation. That's the way you have to be. Slam it in there and get it done.
Here's the rundown for you. We know Gurney's leading, Pappas is second, Angelelli is still third, and Scott Pruitt, the Rolex 24 winner, is fourth. Long is fifth. David Donahue is sixth. Brian Frizzell in the AIM Autosport car is seventh. That's a great effort. Nick Johnson eighth. Oswaldo Negri is 9, Mike Shank Racing, and Mamo Gidley in 10 for Doran. It is still Tremblay leading GT from Farnbacher, and then Nick Longy, the second Speed Source Mazda, is up into third, and Paul Edwards is hanging tough, coming back after adversity earlier in the race for his teammate, Kelly Collins. He's up to fourth in class.
Man, these next 10 laps for the Gainsco team are going to be so long, because you see right behind there, Mad Max is not giving up. He's still in contention.
And as we mentioned, Alex Gurney has not seen victory lane in Daytona prototypes. When he gets to the last half a dozen laps and he's got to deal with traffic, then the pressure's really going to be back on his shoulders.
That's where the caution I said I thought would happen. Yeah, it's going to be pretty big. You can't be held up, and you know Alex knows that. He's not going to get himself in a position to be bound up. Not with Max behind him.
Max has to keep the pressure on. That's the key.
Here's the Ruby Tuesday race summary, guys. We know who's out in front. Certainly more lead changes than 12 months ago. Pruitt went flag to flag, he and Luis Diaz. And there you go. The most compelling statistic there, no cautions.
Quite amazing, really, as hard as these guys have battled, and a bigger field than we've ever seen before here.
Max Pappas is not giving up. Both these drivers running lap times in the 1:22 low range. 1:22.2 for Gurney, 1:22.3 for Max Pappas. So he has a fast race car. He has to stay in the rear view mirror of Alex Gurney and really make him try and crack under pressure.
Absolutely. Cannot let the pressure off whatsoever. Make both cars, both drivers running at 10.5 tenths.
Two teams with a lot of similarities, two newer teams to the Rolex Sports Car Series, both owned by very savvy and wealthy businessmen who have heads up enough to hire extremely talented engineers and drivers. Brian?
Well, I checked in with John Fogerty a moment ago, and remember, guys, what he said was, I handed Alex a good car. There's a lot of adjustability left, and Calvin, you and Dorsey can talk a little bit more about this, but he said the bars are right in the middle, so Alex has a car that he can adjust substantially if he needs to, and don't forget, 5 or 6 laps fresher tires on the 99.
Of course, what they're talking about right there, the adjustability, is if you've worn out the car significantly at the end, you would have to soften those bars up to get more grip. What they're saying is there's enough mechanical grip left in the car that the bars are still in a neutral state. So as it starts to degrade, the tires go off. He can adjust it and make it better. If he started out with it adjusted at full max, he'd have nothing to work with.
This is a super important moment for Pontiac. Pontiac has never won a Daytona prototype race here in Mexico. Well, they got first and second and third covered. It is looking good for General Motors and Pontiac here in Mexico.
This traffic, Calvin, is really going to have to be heads up, because these guys are going to be cutthroat right now.
The key is the S's. We saw them on that previous lap. Both Gurney and Pappas had to deal with slower GT cars going through the S's. Right now, the road ahead looks clear for the next couple of corners, but it can turn in a heartbeat, just like that. You see cars ahead of him. See that GT car? Is he going to be out of the S's before Alex Gurney has to crack the throttle and lose time?
Looking forward, looking backwards. One eye up on the track, one eye on the rear view mirror.
So much of this is dictated by these GT car drivers and their ability to look at the race leaders coming at them and their spotters and their people telling them, hey, the two guys are really getting it on right now. Let them by clean.
Pappas is so excited to be back in a Daytona prototype full time. Last time was 2004 when he was the champion. Can he do it again? Look at this here. Is this payback time? Bill Auberlen said, what comes around goes around.
Oh, boy.
Well, Auberlen is back in 10th position. Make that 13th after that stop. He took over from Al-Hadef. But this is Max Angelelli up ahead. Angelelli is on the podium at the moment with just 7 laps to go.
And Auberlen's got the tires.
He does. He's got fresh rubber. He's going to want to try and prove his point here that he had a fast race car here today. And I'm sure he knows who's in the race car. If he didn't know it getting in, he'll certainly radio to his team and get the information. Is it Magnussen or Angelelli? Either way, he wants by.
We always like to give teams pats on the back when they deserve it, and that Luggage Express Siegel Sport car really deserves it. They are coming on strong for a new team in Daytona Prototypes. Meanwhile, look at this. There's only a second between first and second. This race is far from over.
More traffic up ahead, Calvin. GT cars are really playing into this, and these two drivers are not cutting them any slack.
Brian brought out a very valid point earlier in the show. He talked about the fact that that 99 machine has about 4 less laps on the tires. That could be critical as these drivers search for grip in the final laps of this event.
We are staying here live on speed right to the checkered flag. This is too good to miss. And while we stay up front with the Daytona Prototypes, it is still Speed Source Mazda for Sylvain Tremblay and Nick Ham who lead the way. They've got a healthy margin over Dominic Farnbacher for Farnbacher Lowells. Nick Longy in the second Speed Source car. Paul Edwards for Banner Racing. Meanwhile, here's this payback time. I don't think Billy will do it. I think he wants to just get by and blow by and continue his race.
He's calmed down by now. I mean, it's still in the back of his mind, but he really does want to just get by cleanly so he doesn't have to suffer some sort of penalty.
Bill Auberlen just works feverishly, not only on the racetrack, but also off of the racetrack. His engineer, Rick Meyer, said, the guy calls me like 4 times a week. He wants to get to the front. He wants it. He's got the eye of the tiger, and right now, he's got the eye of the tiger on the 10 car and slices down the inside.
He is a champion driver, wins, poles, podiums. His resume is unbelievable. But what can he do in this DP this year with this new team? Back to the front. Pappas hunting down Alex Gurney.
And this is all traffic related. Look in front of them. They've got a lot of work to do. Both cars, either of these cars can be held up just the tiniest bit when going through this traffic.
One thing you can say about Max Pappas, he is a proud man, and he will not like the fact that he took over the car with a healthy lead and he's given it up. He's going to try and fight back here and get a victory for Krone Racing and his teammate. Traffic there. Gurney in trouble.
That's costly. That's mega.
That's enough. That's enough. There's going to be a pass for the lead right here.
Side by side, they almost contact. Pappas has got the lead. He squeezes him. He squeezes Alex Gurney and takes the lead back.
And that Mazda should have got out of the way. No reason that guy should have been there when he knew these two were the overall leaders coming by.
How about that?
And look at this. He's got that GT Mustang between he and Alex Gurney. Gurney has to be careful here.
Gets by the Black Forest Mustang. But look at the gap already. In a quarter of a lap, Pappas has gapped Gurney. Now it's comeback time with just 5 to go for the Gainsco machine.
Gurney is rattled.
Yeah, he's rattled, but look in front, right there in front of the 75, another one of the GT cars, and now he's being held up significantly.
Now don't get down on the GT cars. This is what sports car racing is all about. Multi-classes, different speeds, different cars. Traffic is a key in sports car racing, and how well you get through it.
You got a handful of laps to go, and you got to know that these two DP leaders are not going to cut you any slack at this given point. They can't because they're both running 100%.
You just create a new class, GP, DP.
That's when you wreck the two together and they weld as one.
Well, it's not a laughing matter down with Bob Stallings. Well, suddenly the Krone boys feel a whole lot better, but Alex Gurney is not done with yet. So much has happened in the space of 1 lap. Let's show you. That was gripping. Here we go.
Quite amazing. You look right now, Gurney gets in the grass and he has to slow up because the Mazda didn't give him much room. Now it's side by side, almost a bump here. Look, did they touch? It was close. But look at the Mazda on the outside. Now they do touch, and it could have been a very big accident, Calvin.
Yeah, but the Mazda may not have seen Pappas to the inside. He probably just saw the 99 coming through. He's holding his line, but Max really forces the issue there, try and moves across to the center of the racetrack. He wasn't clear of Gurney. Gurney wasn't clear of the Mazda.
That could have been a big one, boys, a real big one. There it is, the grass. Gurney in the grass has to lift off the throttle, and that's all it takes. Mad Max to the inside. Now there's the bump. I'm not going to give you any room. Thank you.
It's almost worse, Dorsey, when you got about that second gap on the guy behind you, because if they're right behind you, they slow up too. When the guy has momentum and you slow down, he's coming like a freight train.
Now, what do we got going on here? This is on board Paul Edwards. He's gone around.
That's all on his own. He's just out the outside of the racetrack and loses rear grip.
Same corner where his teammate Kelly Collins got hit by Leighton Reese. Let's get back to the front.
Wow, this is going to be, oh, look, a lap car, the Corvette again, both through clean.
Well, the key thing is at the center top of your screen, 4 laps to go. That's about to change to 3. Time is running out for Bob Stallings' men.
A team that has never won before, and Alex Gurney, you know he really wants this win badly.
We talked about Max being sick this week, and I'm sure you're driven a race car sick, Dorsey. When you got the adrenaline flowing, he won't feel it till after that checker.
Now, he doesn't feel a thing right now. Both these drivers at full adrenaline flow and doing the best they can, feeling the cars to the max.
Lexus was so strong at the Rolex 24, but how about Pontiac's comeback? At the moment, they have the podium locked out. Whoa,
there's
Max
a mistake.
Pappas is gone.
That's the mistake right there. That was the pressure on you talked about, Calvin. Keep the pressure on. Make the guy make a mistake. Max just made it.
He did. He just locked up at a brake and may have mismatched that downshift a little bit, locked up the rear wheels. He was gone. Gurney threw in a heartbeat. He should have a healthy 3-4 second lead here. Just got to keep it together and be patient with this traffic.
Yeah,
that's got to be enough. That should be enough.
It's plenty enough. The team now has to get on the radio and say, okay, Alex, calm down, calm down. You've got a huge amount of lead in hand. Don't wreck this car. Stay on the racetrack, man.
Can you believe that?
Turn 4 today. Have we seen problems there? Guys sliding around. We saw Magnussen make the mistake.
Debris in the racetrack right now. Will it bring a caution? Be a terrible time for a caution, I have to say.
This time by, there's a dejected Colin Brown. This time by, it flags 2 to go. Well, let's go back and have another look at that.
Look at Max, just gets in too deep, locks the brake, knows he can't make the corner, releases the brake there, and it's too late. He's in the dirty racetrack and spins the car. Unforced error, Calvin.
It really was, and what a surprise to see Max Pappas make that mistake. He may have looked in his mirror as he's coming in that corner trying to see where the gap was if he had to protect line, but you shouldn't make that mistake.
That debris, though, was on the track, and I wonder if Max was running a little wide and then had to go even wider to avoid hitting it.
That's a good point, Lee. You get off in the dusty stuff where the marbles are.
Let's have another look at it and just watch. Here we go. Watch in the center of the track where the debris is. So he's already gone wide there. Loses it.
I think he's just I think he just got in way too deep. And remember, these two guys are running at 100% as hard as they can, and it's so easy to go over the line when you're in that mode.
Well, how about that? Next time by, this young man from California will see the white flag wave.
What a roller coaster of emotion for that Gainsco team over the last 10 laps.
Bob Stallings, hang on.
Party's going to be on tonight, boys.
2.5 miles, and you can call yourself a winner. And these two young guys who drove this car today, both from an Atlantic background, the open wheelers, and what a remarkable story this is. We mentioned earlier in the show just how important Gainsco is and the Hispanic community with Gainsco. Wow. What a memorable time this is. And Pappas,
and he's locked it up again. Big time lock up on the right front now. Is completely flat spotted. He only has 1 to go, though, Calvin.
Now, he'll get to the finish, Dorsey, but right now he's chasing hard. But he's over 7 seconds adrift. He's not going to make that up unless Alex Gurney has some kind of mechanical or makes a huge mistake here on the last lap.
And I don't think that'll happen. I mean, his crew by now has told him you got 7 seconds in hand. And as a race car driver, a mature race car driver, he knows the only way he can lose 7 seconds is make a mistake.
No other positions have changed other than the Paul Edwards spin has dropped him 4 spots. There's John Fogarty there in the foreground, and Bob Stallings getting ready. The men in red are ready to celebrate Mexican style. And this really is reflective of just how competitive the Rolex Sports Car Series is. 2 different pole sitters, 2 different winners from the first 2 races of the year. It's always special when you can say you're a first-time winner. For Bob Stallings Racing, the Gainsco Pontiac Riley goes to victory lane. Gurney and Fogarty win in Mexico. How about that? 3 years into the series, and it has finally come.
Not over for Sylvain Tremblay, though. He's still fighting his lap. He's the leader in GT, trying to get that win as well.
That's right.
Well, let's get down to the Stallings camp. Brian?
There has probably not been a more emotional victory in the history of the Rolex Sports Car Series. 23 races it's taken to get the checkered flag for Bob Stallings and the Gainsco crew. Bob, we talked about it before. You said it's not over yet. Guess what? It is. How does it feel?
I am so stoked. I can't believe it. This Gainsco team has battled through all kinds of stuff, as you know. We finally got that win. I'm beyond words. It's just awesome.
Well, the emotion down here, it is so obvious. John, for you, I know that you came on board this team. You've tried so hard, and now it's real. The victory's there. It's in hand. How sweet is it?
It's awesome. You know, I'm going to respect Robin Miller's request that none of us cry up on the podium, but I really feel like it. It's awesome for the Gainsco team and awesome for Alex. I mean, phenomenal drive. But I can't say enough for the crew. We've been so close so many times, and to be able to do it down here in Mexico with Gainsco as our sponsor and you know, with backing from Pontiac and GM Racing, it's awesome, and I couldn't be happier.
I said down here, guys, the emotion is palpable. A lot of red eyes around here, and I think the celebration is going to be huge.
And it's going to be huge in the Speed Source camp. The first victory in Rolex GT racing for the Mazda RX-8. How about that? They grabbed their first pole and first victory all in the one weekend. How about that? Wonderful performance from Sylvain Tremblay and Nick Ham.
Oh, that's superb. And these guys are around all season long. They are definitely a championship contender, Doss.
No doubt about it. They've worked hard on that race car, and it looks like a really good piece they've got to work with.
What a dramatic race.
There we go.
Well, no one's getting out of here tonight, that's for sure. It's party time for two teams in particular. Bob Stallings, Gainsco Racing, and Speed Source. Superb victories, both first-time winners here in Mexico. We've got lots more to come. Stay with us.
Wednesday night on Speed. First Pinks.
I plan on keeping that car.
Then Unique Whips.
You have to step up to the plate.
Followed by Forza Motorsport Showdown.
You'll love this.
Beginning Wednesday night, 9 Eastern on Speed.
Most vehicles can help protect you during an accident. We prefer to help you avoid one altogether. The 2008 Lexus RX with 14 actively safe features.
Here's to men, to guys who want to spend more time having fun and less time in the men's room, to guys who want to go less at night. And here's to Flomax. In 1 week, Flomax may relieve male urinary symptoms due to BPH, also called an enlarged prostate. Flomax may help symptoms like frequently waking up to go, going often, weak stream, in 1 week. Only your doctor can tell if you have BPH, not prostate cancer. Common side effects of Flomax are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Upon standing, a sudden drop in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. So when starting Flomax, avoid situations where injury could result. If considering cataract surgery, tell your eye surgeon you've taken Flomax. Could you feel a difference in 1 week? Call 877-4FLOMAX and ask your doctor about Flomax. Flomax could make a difference in 1 week.
Monday on Backstage with Barry Nolan. Hollywood couples seem to have a hard time staying together. Angela Bassett and Courtney Vance share their secret to long-term love. Backstage, Monday at 8 on CN8, the Comcast network.
Hey, baby. Listen, I know our last call didn't go so well, but great news. I'm now calling you on my new Comcast Digital Voice home phone service.
Sean, I told you never to call me again.
Yeah, I know, but that was my old service.
Okay. Sean,
This is my new Comcast Digital Voice, so we're solid.
I'm hanging up now.
Your phone calls won't change. They'll just cost less. Comcast Digital Voice. It's Comcastic.
Nothing is getting by him tonight.
I'm Jay Priest, and this is how I live.
The Wings' next home game is on Saturday, March 3rd at 7:30 p.m.
Good hustle.
If If you've just joined us, you have missed a stunning sports car race. If you were with us, you know how good it was. Brian, I bet you they are pumped.
They are pumped. You talk about Cloud 9. They were on Cloud 9. They were also standing on top of the car a minute ago. Alex Gurney, fantastic. This is not the first time the Gurney name has won here in Mexico City. Your dad did it. How special is that, just to win where your dad has won?
That is. I didn't think of it until you said it, but definitely really special. Wow, what a race.
And probably even more so special than that is to bring home the victory after 23 races, the 23rd time the checkered flag falls. Talk us through those last 5 laps. You led, you lost it, you got it back. Talk me through it.
Yeah. I mean, I was so gutted when Max got by me there. You know, it was just a case of traffic. All of our passes back and forth were, catching up to a GT in the wrong spot. And man, when I caught that with 5 laps to go and Max got by me, just a dagger in my heart. And then, I tried to keep the pressure on, and he gifted it to us there, with a few laps to go. So we couldn't be happier. We pushed hard the whole weekend. They were kind of the class of the field until the race, but this is when it counts, and I'm so happy for Gainesco. Put so much behind this all, and finally bring home a win. Now I hope they come easier. I'm really happy with John, too. He kicked butt in qualifying, front row, and ran an awesome race, and, we're looking good.
Well, you said it was a bit of a gift, but it was certainly a well-earned gift. Congratulations to the entire Gainesco crew. For more, let's check on with Chris Neville.
Well, what is elation for one is definitely frustration for another. Max, that was some amazing battling for the lead. You went back and forth with Alex Gurney there, but what happened when you gave up the lead and you went off the track?
First of all, it was an awesome race. Me and Alex, and Colin, we drove really, really hard. Everyone drove really hard, and it was just a matter of traffic. I was always hitting traffic at the wrong spot. Alex went by, and after he hit traffic at the wrong spot, I went by him. And after, I just made a mistake. I'm really sorry. The Chrome Racing car was doing really well, and I'm sorry to let my fan down and Colin down and my team. I'm going to come back and try harder next time. And today was a great battle. Hats off to Alex Gurney. He deserved the win. And yeah, sorry to let you guys down, but I gave everything I could, and when you try as hard as you can, I couldn't do any more.
Well, these two might not have big smiles on their faces, but when you look at how they finished at Daytona, a second place this early in the season is not bad. Both these teams did not do well at Daytona, so finishing 1-2 puts these two back in the hunt for the championship.
That tells the story, doesn't it? Max Pappas, a former series champion, going over to say to team owner Tracy Crone, I'm sorry. I did my best, but I just made a mistake. As we take a look at the Daytona prototype results, there's some interesting reading there, isn't there? And there's something in the water here. The last race to go caution-free here in Mexico City, we had a first-time winner. That was 2005, Mamo Gidley, Michael McDowell for Finlay Motorsports. It's the same story 2 years later with Bob Stallings, Gainesco Racing, and Alex Gurney and John Fogarty. And it was a sad old day for the famous 59. Hurley Hayward did not even get behind the wheel of the Brumos Porsche. That car retired early. We're far from done here south of the border. Plenty more from Autodromo, Hermanos Rodriguez, when we return.
Last year, Tony Stewart made it to the top at Martinsville Speedway. On April 1st, he'll go for 2 at the Goodies Cool Orange 500. Will Tony climb again, or will Jeff Gordon burn the competition? Can Dale Jr. survive the melee, or will there be a surprise at Victory Lane? Don't miss the action or the outcome. Good seats remain for the Goodies Cool Orange 500. For tickets, call 877-RACE-TICKS or visit racetickets.com online.
There's a place where simple food like chicken is now simply extraordinary. Introducing Chicken Fresco, Portobello, and Oscar. Our freshest, tastiest chicken ever. Ruby Tuesday.
Great gear, great prices, and the great outdoors all meet up at Bass Pro Shops. Our spring fishing classics offer the lowest prices of the year and free fishing seminars. For dates and locations, see BassPro.com. Your adventure starts here.
I made the first batches of Sam Adams in my kitchen as a home brewer.
6 weeks after he started the business, Boston Lager took the Best Beer in America award.
Last year, more than 1,500 homebrewers entered the Sam Adams Long Shot competition.
Homebrewers make some awesome beers. With Long Shot, beer drinkers could discover how good American homebrewers are.
Now you can try the Long Shot winners and enter this year's competition.
Get your homebrew kit and instructional video at samadams.com.
Just brew it.
Pressure, enemy of engines. Enemy of pressure, Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic, with adaptive molecules that continually join forces to help conquer pressure. Not just oil, Pennzoil. The Grand Am Rolex Series comes to Miami March 24th. Go online or call for tickets.
Reminding you, 9:30 p.m. Eastern on Monday night, Back in the Day is on. Look forward to that, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. Don't miss it. So many great shows here on Speed, and that is one of them. We're back here in Mexico wrapping things up and patting the winners on the back. Brian?
We saw a celebration in Daytona Prototype with the Gainesco win. What about the win down here for Speed Source? Nick, we already talked to you about a great job in qualifying, the great job you did early on, but Sylvain, you got in the car, and it looked like it never skipped a beat. It looked almost easy.
Well, it really was a team effort. I mean, David Haskell gave us a great setup on the car. He engineered the car. Took a big chance in stepping out of the car and, just step on top of the pit box. Gave me a great car. Matt Martin made the car perfect. Just no mistakes. We came in 2 seconds ahead. We went out 22 seconds ahead, so it was all the crew today. My job was easy.
Well, you talk about such a team effort, and you talk about David Haskell. Obviously, he's been a part of this team for a long time. Nick in the seat right now, David up on the box, and it really seems to be a very potent combination, but I know the motor had a lot to do with it, too, and David had a lot to do with that motor.
That's his baby. I mean, he spends hours and hours on the dyno. You should see our fuel bill and all the stuff he tests. But, he earns everything that he does, and without him, this team would be nothing. So.
Well, the altitude up here, you guys had a chance to run it on the dyno with the restrictor, so basically you ran in Mexico City over in Florida.
Yes, we did. We spent a lot of time, trying to make the right decisions to get here. So we ran in Mexico City, in Florida. Not quite as high, and, the people were great track, and lots of fun. Just real happy for the Mazda Speed team, their first win in GT.
You heard him say it was a team effort. It definitely was, and it all started back in Florida. Awesome job to Speed Source. Chris.
Well, second place goes to Dominic Farnbacher and Lee Keane. Lee, you jumped out to an early lead in GT, but fell back a little bit from there. But really, a trouble-free run for you guys. Second place, a nice rebound from Daytona.
Yeah, Daytona, we had some bad luck there, but this is nice. It looks like the Mazda's going to be trouble the whole year, but this event is really cool. The racetrack's right in the city. The fans are great. It's just a lot of fun. So we're definitely happy with second. And maybe something could happen to the Mazdas or something like this, and maybe we can give them more competition.
Well, this is definitely going to be one of our fastest teams in GT. They led Daytona for many, many hours before having an engine problem in the last hour and a half, so second place has got to taste good to these boys.
And that was a very solid performance from both Farnbacher Lowell's cars today. They can take away a lot from today as we put the spotlight on the GT results from Mexico City. And note there that the 69 Mazda RX-8 of Emil Assensato, Nick Longy getting on the podium in that class. That's important. Young Nathan Schwartzbar and Andrew Davis, the best of the Taffel cars. And Greg Wilkins, Dave Lacey just missing the top 5. And how about the boys from Banner Racing? The Pontiacs did not enjoy the same success they did at the Rolex 24. Several hiccups that they will discuss, no doubt, in the post-race meeting debrief, that's for sure. Moving forward to our next round in the Rolex Sports Car Series at Miami Homestead Speedway. But what a day it is for these boys. A lot of work, a lot of development, and Dave Haskell, who engineered that car today, just devastated with what happened to them at the Rolex 24. Well, now it's time to celebrate. And look on the left of your screen, Angelelli and Magnussen. Tough, hard race, but nice and consistent. They're on the podium and very valuable championship points. Wonder how that looks now as we head to Homestead. We'll talk more about it when we come back. We're not done yet. Stick around.
He is the heir apparent and the face of the two-wheel revolution. All James Stewart has to do now is live up to the hype.
Supercross St. Louis. Coverage begins Sunday 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, only on Speed.
In the event of a big emergency, and I'm at work, my daughter's school is 2 blocks away. That would be a very convenient meeting place for all of us.
We'd meet up at his parents' house.
A meeting place? Not really.
My husband would definitely pick up the girls from school.
I would want to make sure that she has the girls or is on her way to get the girls.
I know that there's a plan, but I don't know what the plan is.
Through the years, many things pass from father to son, like Aqua Velva Aftershave. Smells great, cools, firms, and tones. Cool. Aqua Velva, men get it.
Want a more attractive smile? Discover a Lumineers smile.
This was just so pleasant, and the results were humongous.
To find a Lumineers smile dentist near you, call 877-586-4633.
The sun sets on Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, and what a memorable day in the Rolex Sports Car Series. Plenty to talk about. It's been a stunning start, the Rolex 24, and here in Mexico City, the racing has been hot. Very competitive and very, very emotional for some. Max Pappas in the lead after fighting back, but in the end, it was Alex Gurney who took the checkered flag.
Wallace there in the Geico Chevrolet. David Ruderman, the Aaron's Dream Machine Toyota. David Gilliland, FreeCreditReport.com Ford. Michelle Jourdain Jr., the Dish Network Ford. Ron Fellows, the Camping World Chevrolet. And, of course, on the front row, Mexico City native Carlos Contreras and the Family Dollar Dodge. Now, our 7th onboard camera will have 2 cameras riding along here with Colombian native and international superstar Juan Pablo Montoya and the Texaco Haviland Telcel Dodge. All right, let's take a look at our starting grid here today as we'll show you how they will line up behind the pace car. 46-year-old Scott Pruitt picks up his 2nd career NASCAR Busch Series pole and only his 7th start. And beside him, Mexico City native Carlos Contreras in a Dodge. Back in row 2, how about Juan Pablo Montoya, the former Formula One superstar and former pole sitter here, and Mexico native Jorge Getters. Back in row 3, last year's winner, Denny Hamlin, driving for Joe Gibbs Racing, and a 3-time NASCAR Busch Series winner on a road course, Ron Fellows.
Row 4, Boris Stud, road racing superstar, and Regan Smith on the outside. Row 5, Carl Edwards. A lot of guys think he's going to win the title this year. And road racing ace, P.J. Jones on the outside.
In row 6, we got Michelle Jourdain in the 17 and Marcus Ambrose. Row 7, we got Stephen Light and youngster Brad Coleman.
On row 8, J.J. Yaley and former NASCAR Busch Series champion Greg Biffle. Watch for him to come from the back of the pack. In row 9, Adrian Fernandez, one of the most popular drivers in the history of Mexican motorsports, and beside him, Bobby Hamilton Jr. And in row 10, Scott Wimmer in the 29 car for Richard Childress Racing, and Herman Quiroga Jr. He's very good on the road course. He should be a factor early on as well.
Row 11 on the inside, David Gilliland. And on the outside, my son, Stephen Wallace. Row 12 on the inside, Jason Leffler. On an outside, Ruben Pardo.
In row 13, we got David Rudeman recovering from his wreck last week in California, and Brent Sherman. Row 14, we got Shane Huffman in the Navy car and Mike Wallace in the 7th.
On row 15, Rogelio Lopez and John Wood, the third-generation driver. Row 16, in a backup car, Dave Blaney, the VanFirst.com Ford Toyota, and Todd Kluver.
Row 17 on the inside, J.R. Fitzpatrick. On the outside, Kyle Krisloff. Row 18 on the inside, David Reagan. On the outside, Stanton Barrett.
Row 19, we got Curtis Davis and Todd Souza. Row 20, Brian Simo and Antonio Perez.
All right, and the final three starters in row 21, Brad Keselowski, the 23-year-old, John Young from the West Coast, and from Caracas, Venezuela, starting 43rd on the field, Alex Garcia in the number 98 car. Well, this is an 8-turn, 2.518-mile road course, and Rusty, take us through it.
All right, let's take a look at this. We come down the front straightaway into turn 1, 180 miles an hour, hard brake off of turn 1, off of turn 3, down the back straightaway, short shoot. Now, this is a turn leading up to turn 4 where a lot of passings are going to get done. We come through turn 4, off of turn 4, right there, the S's are just getting ready to start. Folks, there's going to be a lot of speed made through the S's here. We leave the S's off of turn 6 down the back straightaway into 7 and off of turn 8, and that's a lap at Mexico City.
All right, we told you we'd be riding along and speaking with Juan Pablo Montoya as our in-race reporter. Let's chat with Juan Pablo now.
Juan Pablo Montoya, Rusty Wallace, ESPN. You got us?
Yeah.
Juan Pablo, a lot of people are talking about turn 1, the problem getting down in that corner. Do you feel comfortable getting in there with the adjustments you made to your car?
The car should be really good today. You know, we've done a lot of work in it, and, you know, the team has done an awesome job all weekend. I'll tell you, it's an exciting race. My first road course in NASCAR. You know, it's good. You know, everything has gone really good. All the Ganassi cars are fast, so just happy to be here.
All right, Juan Pablo, you qualified yesterday. You were locking the right front wheel up. You made some adjustments for today. The track is much cooler. Do you feel confident